A night in with MauLer and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen dictors. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, gonna send back a beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, pass they'll say I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, MauLer and the critical drinker.
All right, I believe that's our cue. Hello, everybody.
Hello, we're back.
We're back, baby, after like a week's absence. I'm trying to remember how to
break.
this.
Can you believe it?
2 years since open bar. Can you believe it?
What a special occasion.
Yeah, it is. But, well, it's great to be back anyway. And, yeah, sorry that I left you guys for a week, but I'm sure you find ways to amuse yourself. It's not that important. But, hey, it's good to be back doing this again and hanging out with you, MauLer, and our lovely panel of guests once more.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be great. Super exciting. Plenty to talk about. All kinds of media popping in and out. Good and bad and ugly. So
indeed. Yeah, there's quite a lot of ugly these days. You're looking at some of it. But anyway. So I guess, what is it we normally do at this point in the show? We talk about like the year that we had, or the year that was. In this case, it would be 2015. So I definitely didn't throw this together 2 minutes before we went live. What we had in terms of the biggest box office movies of the year in 2015. I'm sorry about this. I'm sorry I have to say it, but it's okay. Number one was Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, with $2 billion.
The beginning of an era.
Yeah. The next one was Jurassic World, with $1.6 billion. Furious
Jurassic
7.
The Force Awakens, basically. Like they're the same movie, just different franchises.
They are, yeah. Like, didn't you talk about like which ones are a JJ movie and which ones are a Rian Johnson movie? That is like the prototypical JJ Abrams movie.
I feel as though the majority of people you ask that question, they'll probably side with one or the other. Like, you know, Jurassic World is like, oh yeah, I remember that. It does the piano version of the classic thing, and there's debate and everything. I'm trying to be like, we're going back. And you're like, shut up.
Oh god, why couldn't they have just stopped at, I don't know, Jurassic Park? I think that would have been the smart thing to do.
Oh well.
We also got Furious 7. That was Paul Walker's final appearance in the franchise, I believe, and it was actually, I quite enjoyed that movie, I must admit, in a franchise that's essentially just become ridiculous nonsense over the years with each installment. That one had a bit of heart to it. I think it felt quite poignant at the end. So
I've just never been into Fast and Furious at all. I've seen the first 3, I think. So in a funny way, I'm like not familiar with the new era at all.
That franchise has been around, I think, almost most of my life. Like, the first one came out, I was still in high school when the first one came out, and I'm 41 now. Like, that's how old it is. It's insane how long that's been running for. But yeah, number 4 was Avengers Age of Ultron. What a disappointment that movie was. Gosh.
Yeah, I remember everyone was like, that didn't hit anywhere near as good as the first one.
Oh, that first trailer had me pumped, man. That was amazing. I thought, this is going to be a serious fucking movie.
Yeah, Ultron got ruined. He was kind of clowny in the film, unfortunately. That's how it goes. But hey, it's funny to trace back because it's like that was clearly the film where they were like, we have so many plans. We're gonna be doing this forever. Yeah, remember there was so many like scenes that people didn't know what they were for. It was like, what? Why is Thor doing visions or something? And who is Vision? And then who's like a lot of things that there's some resolving it, but like a lot of it was just like, nah, it's for the future.
Yeah, the whole Marvel pipeline was really in full effect by that point, wasn't it? It's like,
you could say they'd cracked it.
A movie is like 50, like back then it was like 50% telling its own story and 50% setting up other stuff in the franchise, setting up spin-offs and like the next Avengers film and all that. And just, it's weird now because when I look at it, it's like, it comes across as so cynical and so like exploitative. I know that's kind of what
what's crazy is
known for now, but
people talked about this formula as like this, like, wow, you cracked it, Kevin, that sort of thing. But ultimately, like, the formula was a formula for box office. It wasn't a formula for quality. It wasn't exactly reliable.
No.
And
But I
it's
don't
like
think I don't think they cared about quality. I think ultimately it was just
no. And
what's the box
when you
office
have that
did.
kind of opportunity where you're guaranteeing yourself that kind of box office, if you are making quality films, it's only going to like multiply in a good
Yeah.
and then increase reputation and better. It's like the best chance you have for quality control because you're assured a bunch of other things. But oh well, it's kind of interesting to track because that formula killed them.
Yeah. But 2015 also gave us Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation, The Martian, which I think might go down as Ridley Scott's final good movie.
A lot of people end up saying that, yeah.
I really like The Martian. I think it's a really well structured film, and like I think it's a great example of just like, what would you say, like taking an insurmountable challenge and just breaking it down into lots of smaller problems. Just like a man who's got like an almost impossible task of trying to stay alive in this inhospitable environment, and actually just really thinks his way out of the problem, which I think is really cool to see in a movie.
I was going to say, I think the premise alone is already like, it's cool that got made. Guys stuck alone on Mars, got to live for X amount of time. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Also gave us Kingsman, which nice.
The first Kingsman, eh?
The good one, yeah.
Well, I like it.
Mad Max Fury Road, The Hateful Eight, and The Man from U.N.C.L.E. So, I mean, not a bad year. Then again, it also gave us The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. I talked about this before. Like, are we ever going to get away from the Hunger Games movies? They just kept coming when I do these recaps. Chappie, which I think somehow almost ended Neil Blomkamp's career, didn't it? It was like basically a giant like promo video for Die Antwoord, which was a bad choice.
Didn't quite work out. Yeah. I still haven't seen Chappie, have you?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I saw it when it was out at the cinema because I was a big Neil Blomkamp fan after watching District 9, and I thought, and I was one of those weird people that actually quite enjoyed Elysium as well. So, I thought Chappie, it'd be interesting to see what he does. And it started out with a promising idea, I suppose. It was a bit like, was that fucking old movie with the robot that gets like sentient, Short Circuit? Yeah, it's like that, but a slightly more mature version of that, I suppose.
R-rated Short Circuit, sure.
Kind of, yeah, but it just became shit by the end, and it like the biggest cop-out ending ever. And it also was the year, thank goodness, that we got Terminator Jenna shit. Wow. 2015 was a wild year, man. I think it might have been the last year as well before all the bad times came.
It does seem that it's like on the cusp. It's even got some flavoring there because Genesis and TFA,
Yeah, TFA, but like, I don't know. I wouldn't like rank TFA amongst the really bad stuff that was soon to come. It was just exploitative garbage, but it wasn't preachy in the way that other movies would be soon. So 2015 feels like that final year before everything went truly bad.
The dark times.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ghostbusters came out the following year. That was patient zero, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, enough babbling about that. How about we bring in our panel of guests, shall we?
Probably a good idea.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to Robot Head, Angry Badger, Despot of Antrim, and the Little Platoon. Welcome, panel.
Hello, gentlemen.
What's going on?
Hey, guys.
Good morning.
It is a pleasure, as always, to have you gentlemen back. Thank you for coming on the bar tonight. And, well, you join us in a week where it's actually been kind of quiet in terms of stuff going on. But I do want to comment on something, right? And this is something that actually happened while I was away, so I didn't get a chance to do it in the previous open bar. But I have to address it now because I feel like it's important.
Oh, my God.
Velma has been cancelled after 2 seasons. I love the article that I'm reading about this. It just sums it up perfectly. Velma, the Max original animated series, has been the source of much controversy. Even before it premiered on Max, many Scooby-Doo fans were put off by the idea of it. Even the franchise's adult fans would have loved a family-friendly version of Velma. But on the show's premiere, it received awful reviews and didn't hit with any fan base whatsoever. Now, after 2 seasons, Velma has finally been cancelled at Max. And it does say Velma has a 1.6 out of 10 rating on IMDb and a 6 out of 10 rating on IGN, summarized as okay. The IGN review describes the series as an often funny take on the classic. Fucking really?
Wow.
With plenty of risque humor. Unfortunately, most of what makes Velma funny is completely unrelated to the character who gets a starring role. The review cites that most of the humor comes from being unintentionally bad, mainly from the show's failed character dynamic between the gang. Oh, well.
I'm surprised they didn't blame the audience more.
Give it time.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was the show was immediately met with racist backlash? Where was that paragraph?
Yeah, well, I'm just waiting for that. But like, I think this is a more honest review of how terrible it was. But I can't even believe it got 2 seasons. I think it was that weird.
It's just sad that hate watching failed once again. God, we can't keep these things alive. It's so sad.
Did anybody see?
I actually didn't hate watch Velma season 2, and I think the declining viewership from my like lack of videos has probably hurt it. So
that probably accounts for 60% of the viewership drop.
Yeah. You and Despot, I think, collectively made up the entire viewership, potentially.
I actually watched
Still trying to save Willow.
They did a Halloween special, and I think I was one of 2 people who watched it. I think it was me and Despot.
Wow.
And that's why you only heard about the cancellation now, because that was the last episode, and then the next day or a couple of days later, it was announced that it was cancelled. And that was shockingly bad, that Halloween episode. It was everything wrong with the series dumped into one 40-minute episode.
I mean, I can't think of many shows that have been as widely despised as Velma was with season 1. I think by season 2, no one even gave a shit. Like, they just didn't even watch it. Like,
no, even the YouTube videos for season 2, nobody watched them.
Yeah,
I did consider doing it for that reason. It's like I went back through all the old season 1 videos just to do a compilation, and I thought, I'll do it for old time's sake. You know, it's partly responsible for making my channel. And then I thought, you know what, I don't actually have to subject myself to this anymore. So you know, why bother? Just ignore the thing, and it will go away. And lo and behold, it has gone away. But I remember thinking, when season 1 came out, because She-Hulk had finished about 2 months previously. And it's like it took 2023, I think it was, a month to make a worse comedy than She-Hulk, which was surprising, but quite impressive.
I mean, we genuinely got that double whammy towards the end of the year, didn't we? It was like, She-Hulk and Velma. Like,
She-Hulk was fun in comparison. Now, granted, they hated us too, but I don't know why I had more fun with She-Hulk than I did with anything else.
She-Hulk was a better show than Velma. Velma is truly, truly awful.
How did it get special? How did it get a special? Like, do you think that was just in the original
I don't know. At the end of season 2, Velma is killed by a dog, Scrappy Doo, I think. And then in the Halloween special, they bring her back to life. But it opens up with a plot hole, basically. The plot hole being that they're bringing her back to life on Halloween, but it turns out they brought the wrong spell book. And I was thinking, wait, did nobody research this before they decided to bring her back to life? And then the rest of the episode is a complete mess. But yeah, that's why.
Scrappy, the hero we needed.
Based Scrappy Doo. It's like they've done the impossible. They've finally made Scrappy Doo likable.
I feel like this might happen to Agatha, where we're the only people watching it, is the people covering it, because I don't see really anyone talking about it.
At EFAT, we watched the first 2 episodes, and we actively were just like against the idea of watching more. We actually hated that show. Like, thought it was disgusting. Like just fully through and through. It's funny you mentioned She-Hulk. Like, I'm not opposed to seeing more hyper cringe from Marvel. Like, if they said we're doing another She-Hulk season, I'd be like, lol, in the same way as Acolyte. But Velma, I'm kind of like, thank God that cockroach has been fucking squashed. That's the, it's one of many that you kind of want to stop.
With Velma, it was so obvious what they were doing. With She-Hulk, it's like, you can see they're trying to appeal to a certain group. But Velma was just fucking horrible from start to finish, and so obvious what they were trying to achieve.
It's like, Velma just seemed to hate everyone in the audience, really. And like, I don't know what the thinking was behind it. I don't know how anyone who viewed this before it went live to the public thought, we've got a winner on our hands here. This is going to work. Like, and
to attach it to Scooby-Doo, like a family-friendly, loved for decades. Like even She-Hulk, they could do virtually anything. I know there's a group of people that are probably She-Hulk fans, but it's not like Scooby-Doo that generations have grown up with, and that's the show they picked to do it with.
Yeah, and I do wonder, like, what has this done for Mindy Kaling in terms of her career?
She still gets work.
What is she doing now?
And she probably still will get work. I don't think it's going to do much of anything for her career. Like, I don't think it's going to get her jobs, nor will it stop her from getting jobs
I
necessarily.
think she just announced something, but I think I blocked it out. But like, you know how it is. They still get. She should have just been giving her the Mindy Kaling show, but instead they take our toys. This is what Joker 2. I was like, we just need to stop letting them use our toys to tell their stories.
How
If
you
you
gonna
want to
stop
use our
them?
toys,
I've seen like
tell the stories.
obviously everyone remembers her like from The Office. That's where she got her big break. She was
Yeah.
playing an annoying, insufferable character in that. Okay, fine. Art imitating life.
She was
Then
a
she
writer
did-
on that as well, wasn't she?
Well, she claims to be, but then it's never clear how much writing she actually did. Like, did she just, pitch in the occasional line here and there, or what?
Listen,
did the
even the most
Mindy
unfunny
project.
people can make a good joke every once in a while, all right? Even by accident.
I guess, yeah, like just through sheer like repetition. But then she did the Mindy Project, which I watched. I'm sure I watched a couple of episodes of that. Didn't laugh once throughout the whole thing. It was just pure insufferable cringe. And then she went and like she did this. Like I'm sure she's done other things in between. I just haven't been aware of them. But like it's not a great track record. There's nothing that I see in her that makes me think, wow, that girl has got a natural instinct for comedy.
Though,
Yeah, but you know what they see? She's slim now. I was going to say she's overweight and she's of the right color. That's where
She's
her
straight though, so
CV
that
ends.
really hurts her. Remember they got upset that Velma was heteronormative and was thirsting for Fred. They wanted her to be LGBTQIA plus.
I know, but
that
she
one of the
was. Like, there was a whole subplot in Velma season 1 where she was simping after Daphne. That was like the main relationship. It's like on again, off again. Everyone somehow fancied Velma, which was the least believable thing about the entire production.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, it was an odd show. And I don't know, like I say, I don't even know how it was able to be sustained for as long as it was. I assume it was that strange setup they have where they ultimately film and record and edit enough for 2 seasons, but they split it up into 2 seasons right off the bat. So like all the stuff that you were seeing had already been done when season 1 came out. It was just that's the amount of content they had.
They did significant rewrites for season 2, and I know this because one of the animators got in touch with a YouTuber I'm friends with, and basically told him that for season 2, they put a lot of effort into the animation. I think they hired 3 animating directors, and one of their instructions was to really work hard on the animation to punch up the jokes. And there was apparently quite a bit of ambition for season 2 within the studio, and they thought maybe it would go somewhere. It wasn't just sort of a leftover from season 1. They did put quite a bit of time, effort, and money into it.
Wow.
Well, I will say one of the things that stuck out to us when we saw episode 1 and 2, we were just like, the animation is way better than the writing.
Yes.
Like, it's not even close.
It's not a bad looking show. I mean, it's nowhere near as cheap and shit as you'd expect it to be if you were just listening to it. If you open your eyes and think, well, that's depressing. Lots of talented people actually worked on this. Oh shit.
Poor guys.
Yeah. I just want to say as well, Grendel Vivat has gifted 50 Critical Dinker memberships while we've been talking here. So thank you very much, sir.
Did you say Critical Dinker?
Yeah. That was intentional, MauLer, okay?
I wanted to make sure everyone heard it because it was so good.
Critical Dinker. Like
Critical Dinker.
Peter Dinklage's nickname.
Yeah. Lewis Hand is asking us as well. Hail Drinker and panel. Have any of you ever watched the Apple TV series For All Mankind? It's an alt history sci-fi focused on a history where the space race never really ended. It's a great show full of hard sci-fi and Cold War skullduggery. Check it out.
I started that a little while ago, and it did look interesting. Isn't it the same guy behind the Battlestar Galactica remake? Is that I think he was involved in it. I watched like the first episode, and I thought that looked interesting, but I ran out of time.
I know that Robert Meyer Burnett was a huge fan of it, and he kept, letting people know about it on social media and stuff. And I think he mentioned it here a few times as well, an open bar. So I trust his judgment when it comes to things sci-fi related. I just haven't had time to get into it myself, but I do like the premise of it, like this alternate history idea where the space race is still going on, the Soviet Union still exists. Oh, that stuff's all pretty cool. I'd be quite curious to see where it goes. But
I'm sorry, you mentioned For All Mankind. I missed. Yeah, I still watch that. That's a great show. Joel Kinnaman. I'm still watching for him. But yeah, I'm sure people might watch it and call it woke, but it is just traditional progressive storytelling, and the actors are pretty good and all of it. So
nice.
I'm still on it, season 4. Yeah.
Also, J Mac gifted Fidical. Sorry, I'm getting it wrong again. Clearly, I've had too much to drink tonight already. He gifted
enough.
50 critical drinker memberships, not dinker memberships like the last guy. So, yeah, thanks to you, man. That's 100 we've had already so far on the bar. So, 100 people have been unwillingly conscripted into the critical drinker army. So, I'm sorry. And welcome aboard at the same time. I was going to say as well, because Despot was nice enough to share this with us. We were talking about, like, what's coming up for the rest of this year? What have we got to look forward to in terms of content? And he let us know, and it's this. And my God, I'm depressed already just looking at this. So we got
Sonic
Venom
3.
3, a movie that nobody wanted or asked for, and I can't remember.
I didn't see Venom 2, so I gotta catch up, I
I
guess.
saw it, but I can't remember any of it.
I'm the same. I know I saw it because I went to see it in the cinema, and I have absolutely no recollection of it whatsoever. I don't know what it's about.
We got Wicked, which is an unnecessary remake of a stage show ultimately, but it's an opportunity for them to redefine another villain from a Disney movie. So of course they're going to go with that. So we've got Wicked, Gladiator 2, a sequel that's just baffling at this point.
Keep hearing it's going to be good, and I don't understand why. That somehow he's cracked it and he's made it good, and I just don't want to believe it.
I mean, it's not only Gladiator 2 just as a notion in and of itself. It's also just Ridley Scott. Maybe it's time to put the camera down. Just
Please.
I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
Just
Yeah.
give it
Please
up,
put it
Ridley.
down.
The last
Yeah.
trailer, it's a superhero movie. Maximus is a mantle. The armor is up there like it's the Batman suit. Everyone says the things.
I don't understand how, like, this guy could have made Alien Covenant, Prometheus, what's the other one? Napoleon.
Right.
And then for for his financiers, his backers, the studio heads to say, yeah, he's still a viable creative force. We're gonna commission this guy for a $200 million historical epic.
I mean, his
Gladiator.
name, his name's not got the same connection to cinema, I'd say, that Steven Spielberg has, but Ridley Scott is still huge. Like, that's slapping that on your poster and stuff is always good, isn't it?
Plus,
How much longer?
20 years ago,
They're
but then how
hiring
many
him.
times do you fail?
Well, I'm saying
right.
how they probably see it. I don't even with all of these things failures in the box office though, and critically, like how is this translated to the numbers people? How do they feel about all this?
Sonic
How did
might make
Napoleon
money.
do?
Sonic might
I
make
mean-
money.
I mean, Gladiator 2, I suppose, makes sense from a purely financial point of view. It's like, well,
Right.
that Gladiator
and-
movie, that did quite well, didn't it? Like, how long ago was that? 22
Well, and the
years?
cynicism of Hollywood, I could see them being like, well, you gotta have Ridley Scott do Gladiator 2. Doesn't he want to as well? He probably vied for it somewhat.
I mean, sure, yeah, I guess.
So
Yeah.
It's going to
we're here.
explain the meaning of life when we get there. It's going to be nothing to do with all this. It's going to be black goo and
I was
Yeah.
I honestly hope someone gets stabbed and like black goo comes out of them.
The other day, he said he was 8 pages into the 3rd movie. So God help us.
Oh god. Jesus.
Yeah.
Moana 2, anyone excited for that? Why? Are they still doing a live action Moana as well?
that's what I was going to ask. Was that just a load of crap to promote this, or are they really doing a live action one?
I think
Oh,
they're
they're doing
both.
one with The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's playing that guy with the sword in the poster there.
Well, he does the voice, doesn't he? Already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're doing a remake with the same actor a decade after the original.
dude, I just checked. So I don't know if we've talked about it. Napoleon apparently it flopped pretty hard.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that was a really expensive movie. That was about $200 million, and I think it made 150 or something like that. It was a big flop.
I still never watched
Yeah.
it. Just word of mouth was like, wait till streaming.
It's
Well,
pretty
didn't they do
fucking
the
terrible.
Snyder
Wait
thing
till
with that by
now.
saying like the full proper director's version will be the one that eventually gets put on Apple TV, I think it was. But then you had the condensed version, which was the one released theatrically. So people who were big fans of Ridley Scott were doing the inevitable thing. Well, yeah, of course, this version isn't very good because it's not the full movie. You have to wait and watch the Apple one because then it'll be brilliant. It's like I know, like we didn't used to have films like that, and I refuse to accept it. Either make a good movie for the film, for the theater, or don't bother. Don't tell me to watch half of it and then catch the rest later.
Yeah.
It's a comic book to explain
But
it.
The thing is, making it longer isn't going to make it better. Like, it was just a terrible movie. Like, it's not going to improve the perception of Napoleon that this movie puts forward. It's not going to like undo the ridiculous historical inaccuracies that the movie tries to push. It's still a disaster. So, like, you're not going to fix it by making it longer. So, yeah, I don't get that line of thinking at all.
And the battle scenes were far too short. I mean, I think in the new one, there's a little bit of the campaign of Italy in there. Like I think the Battle of Marengo is in there. But the issue with the battles was that they were too short and that they weren't fleshed out. And a good battle in a movie done correctly has a story. Like there's a story to the battle, but there were no stories to any of the battles in Napoleon. It was just kind of excerpts from the battle. The Battle of the Pyramids lasted less than 1 minute in the movie.
Yeah, and it's like you have Napoleon shelling the pyramids, which he never did in real life. The actual battle took place about 20 or 30 miles from the pyramids. So like,
Yeah,
none
but
of that
it
was
translates the idea to you so quickly. That's why it's so good.
I think the bit where I lost my mind was when they were at the Battle of Waterloo, and like they have an English sniper who wants to take out Napoleon. You're armed with a fucking musket, mate. Like, how are you going to snipe at anyone with that? It's got an accuracy, like, you're going to hit a barn door from, like, 30 yards away with it. Like, that's just ridiculous. And, like, that's all throughout the movie. It's just nonsense.
It's the arrogance of it. Like, you don't need to change Napoleon's life to make it exciting. It's one of the most storied, dramatic, and exciting lives that has ever been lived. And why are you making changes to it? Just adapt it accurately, and you've got a great movie. If you pick, like, I made a few suggestions in my video about it. There's little periods of his life he could have done, which would have been amazing. Or he could have done a contrast, like a young Napoleon with a young actor, and then a middle-aged Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. That would have been, well, not Joaquin Phoenix, he was terrible, but somebody else. That would have been great.
Yeah, I think there was this mystique then built around Joaquin Phoenix after Joker, where it's like, oh my god, he's this incredible actor who can just nail any role. And then, yeah, that's gone for sure. But yeah, like they put him in this when he has to play young Napoleon, who's like in his mid-20s, I think, when he started his military career, and Joaquin Phoenix clearly well into his 50s and looks it, and he's got to try and play this young version of the character. It doesn't work in the slightest.
Well, if his acting career doesn't pan out, he can always go into singing.
Yeah,
he was good. I did like it before.
I liked in your review, Despot, when you keep bringing up that bit where he's like ranting at the British ambassador, saying, "You think you're so great because you have boats."
What a great line!
Like,
I love that line.
Oh, it's so cringy. And the thing is, like, even the best actor in the world couldn't deliver a line like that.
No, that's true. That's true. That's true. He had awful material to work with, to be fair to him.
Yeah. But we've also got Skeleton Crew, a show which I'm fairly convinced that not a single person in the human race gives a shit about.
No,
it's almost tempted to be like, all right, everyone vote. Did we just make up a Skeleton Crew, or is it a real project?
I know.
There say Jod Nana Wood. Shout out. You don't want to see the pirate Jedi, Jude Law, Jod Nana Wood with the normal everyday houses? Yeah, Theory seems to be excited for this just because he thinks it'll be non-offensive. Just be something that won't ruin lore because it's New Jedi Order.
Probably will, though.
Yeah, that's not a reason to get me excited. That's just whatever. Yeah, but
I'm gonna pass.
The thing is, it probably cost a lot of money to make. It's live action. They got Jude Law in for it. Like, that's not going to be an easy thing to do. So it's probably quite an expensive show. But
Disney streaming, I guarantee it was expensive.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah,
they can magically just make money disappear.
I can already see the Black Series going on sale right now for discount as soon as they come out, like Acolyte.
What is the current price tag on the Acolyte? Because every time I check,
300 million was the last official one we heard through those tax documents.
Jesus Christ! In fact, no. Jesus wept on this one.
And you know, there's still hiding money somewhere.
Could you make?
Still probably not the full figure.
What's great about it is you can see every last dollar on screen. When you
watch for sure.
Wow, what an impressive show!
I blame that pronoun.
Basil cost about 100 million on his own.
See, Basil.
The Skeleton Crew. That has to be a perfect example of who asked for this, because Hollywood have been doing a lot of that. Who asked for this, and who the hell wanted the Goonies in space? Like, nobody. If you'd have asked the general fan base, well, what kind of Star Wars show would you like? They'd probably say, I don't know, a pod racing show. And just something fun. something
They never do
entertaining.
anything that makes sense.
They're gonna rip off
No.
the comics. Jadnana Wood will be a Cade Skywalker insert who was sort of a pirate Jedi, like do his own thing, and they're just gonna steal it.
The closest thing we ever get is a show where it's like a show all about Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're like, oh, and then you find out what it's about, and you're like, why did you choose like the worst possible thing? Why?
Well, they're talking
Yeah.
about a season 2 for that now as well. But Skeleton Crew, I think it might be one of the better Disney Star Wars things solely by virtue of it being inoffensive, because it is so unasked for, because it is evidently a kids thing, because they are basically going to be copying from all the promotional material, all the shots we've seen from the cast interview, or sorry, the writer's interview, and they talked about going and pitching it to Kathleen Kennedy as this Amblin style production, and they read that as, okay, let's just do E.T. but in Star Wars.
And
It's
the
going to
time
be a
period.
very friendly thing. I don't think it's going to matter at all to anyone in any conceivable way, but it might not come out and be the most offensive thing in the world. Having said that, it probably now will be, because I've sort of laid that hook.
We jinxed it.
I mean, what's funny is we were like, it'll be one of the greatest things they have made. So not very good.
Not good.
Truly the lowest of low bars.
What it has
Like,
going for it and against it is it's coming out at the same time period of like the New Republic struggling, so we know everything's going to be bad and fall apart anyway. So go ahead, you're not stepping on any lore we care about.
The thing is, with the New Republic, everyone in it is so retarded. I genuinely want them to fail and get massacred, because like the galaxy will be better off without the New Republic.
I know.
That's
Well,
what you've gotten to.
All that's gonna happen. The cycle of Star Wars now is like big group of retards get replaced and killed by a big group of retards, get replaced and killed by a big group of retards. It's just that's infinitely happening. It's
Schlurpo
like,
cycle.
okay.
This is just
Oh my
young
god,
retard.
it's the retard saga.
Remember
It's in a
they
good spot. You know,
we had
following-
the first order in TFA and stuff, but he called it the final order in
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker. It was like, oh boy, what does that even mean? I don't even know. Woo.
You
No
only have
one's
two
already
orders.
very
Like,
good crowd
you
too.
skip from the
Like-
first to the last. It's not exactly good. I've already seen that the preemptive defenses for this that are coming out there, all the usual ones who still tweet about the Acolyte, are now going on about, oh, we need to protect these kids from the
I was just
evil
about to say that.
racist judge who are gonna come out and be just unbelievably cruel and bully the children off the internet, as though
The blue
anyone's actually
elephant.
going to do that.
Well,
I mean, as
or-
Gary said, like these kids are in Hollywood. Like you definitely need to protect them, but not from the racist chuds out there.
there's that, but there's also just the notion of the worst people of the worst people who want to target children and go after them for like being actors or something. Be like, do you really think those people are going to be convinced by a tweet from you saying like we must protect? Do you think they'll be convinced by Disney saying, "Hey, don't do that"?
Just chill, bro. Chill.
These people would give a shit. They probably would want that reaction. I was just like, listen, the best we could do is just be like, yeah, just as usual, don't harass people.
Yeah.
I hope the kids are better than the ones in the Acolyte, because they were shocking.
Oh, they might be
yeah.
insufferable. The little Orderland, the little blue elephant thing, creature species, I don't know how they're going to do that and make it not look ridiculous constantly, like in actual motion and talking.
They won't. It will
It's
be
like a
ridiculous.
puppet.
But
It's
they
also
just won't care.
CGI?
I could
I
see
don't
there
know.
being a lot of contrast as well, because Jude Law is going to be excellent. Same thing happened in that Peter Pan remake. Jude Law was
Yeah.
great as
Jude Law's
Captain Hook.
reliable. It's just
Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna
like
be- He'll be great in this, but then he'll make the kid actors look even worse, and it's going to get this. You'll have this hideous contrast.
Yeah.
When is
He's
he
still
out, by
got
the
that
way?
movie star quality.
December?
He's going to be like the Tywin Lannister of this, isn't he? Like, it's
Honestly, if he kills a monster, he protects the kids and kills a monster with his lightsaber wherever, everyone will lose their mind. It'll be John Underwood. Hashtag instead of your
Oh, that's
it'll
actually-
be John Underwood.
Something I wanted to bring up. If this show is literally just a 5 out of 10, like, and we even say it's fine,
Yeah.
you might have I feel like people will go nuts over it because it's
Yep.
been so long in Star Wars since we've had anything that's even okay.
This microwave dinner is a 10-star meal.
yeah,
like-
it's like didn't give me chronic diarrhea and vomiting. Like, yeah, 5 out of 10.
Which, to be honest with you, if it is okay and enjoyable enough, I'll probably be happy enough. I'll
Fury
be like,
needs
well,
it. He
The
needs to
thing
win.
is, like, the one time we got something halfway decent, like in Andor, nobody fucking watched it and nobody liked it. It's like, what are you doing?
And
Well,
why are they
hey.
taking so long on Andor when it was the most popular thing? Well, didn't get the views, but it was the only thing that people seem to love.
It's
and
it's
they
easily the
take
most
years.
critically well received thing in post. Like, it's got itself a little fan base going that's been pretty passionate. Everyone's sort of, I think there's going to be more eyes on season 2 than 1, just especially with the state of Star Wars in general, but also because we've got Ben Mendelsohn's coming back. There's rumors that Mads Mikkelsen will be coming back. We've obviously got it's going to be linking up with Rogue One, so we're very likely going to have Vader. If they put Vader in the trailer, we'll probably have people watching it this time.
MauLer,
It's the only show that's will gain viewers compared to everything else they've done, and they've let it go for like 3 years or something now.
Do you think Andor suffered because people were just upset that they weren't getting quality, and then Andor was made super high quality with a bunch of like really good written scenes, and everyone's like, why can't we get other things like that?
I think
Andor
it
was
more
like the complete opposite of something like a Kenobi, where you took a bunch of things no one cared about and made it good, as opposed to a bunch of things everyone cared about and made it horrible.
Yeah, this is the problem. It didn't have that. It didn't provide that superficial dopamine hit of like seeing lightsabers and seeing Darth Vader and seeing like like all the iconography of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like that's what the dumb fucking like Disney Star Wars fans out there wanting to see. And when you didn't get it in Andor, but it was actually like a pretty complex, well thought out political action story. Like
they're kind of allowed to. They could have if they wanted to. The era would have let them. They had. That's Vader is around. He's very active.
Yeah, but it's like, isn't it amazing that they didn't feel they had to rely on that? It's
No,
like, you know what? We've actually got
a
quite a smart story here, and like we don't need to rely on all that key jangling just to make it work.
We didn't get CG Tarkin. We got Partagaz, who I found really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing him again. Like, and that's honestly better. We should probably hope for that. But the thing is, they are allowed to have Tarkin, certainly referencing him, because he would be active. He would be important in the role. And that's what I think is going to happen in season 2. And I think if they've learned anything from season 1, they should probably be like, listen, we're getting you the story, but we're also getting you some fun Star Wars-y stuff that you guys will like, which I have no problem with including. Just try and make it substantive,
Yeah, I think have it part of the story as opposed to something which is tacked on just because you know it's going to get more bums on season. And suffers like from being, it has the prequel problem of being like a partial story leading up to known events, and the known events, it's Rogue One, which is one of the better received of the Disney era things, but it's not everyone's favorite thing. And then the fact that the broader franchise is completely in the bin, it's not an entry level thing. And I think people need a re-entry level type production, something which is good quality, but also has enough reason on the face just to go and give it your time. Andor is a slow show. If you don't trust that it's going to lead anywhere you give a shit about, you're not going to devote the time to sit through it. It's also not paced particularly well, I don't think, for a weekly. It's got all of these different things working against it, which in the long run make it more popular because the only people going to watch it are people who actually have a mind to, the quality of the thing. But in the immediate term is not going to get people to watch, because why would they? What's the hook?
I think
they picked the most boring character that's ever been in Star Wars to be the lead.
Should have just made Kyle
the worst
Katarn,
character in his own show.
Stole his character.
Something's worth considering is Ahsoka did the things, right? Like he Vadered, like that. The internet went wild over Vader turning up and Anakin and blah blah blah. But like, what's Ahsoka's reputation right now as a show?
It's horrible, and we only like the Anakin scenes.
Everyone finds it to be like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. But like I said, Andor has just gradually built up its own little corner of the Star Wars fandom, and they're ready. So if season 2 is really good, that'll be nice and everything. But it's funny how that will make zero difference to the state of Star Wars, no matter how good it is.
And Ewan McGregor. I would say, were Ewan McGregor asking for a second season of Kenobi, and he's saying, I wanted more flashbacks with me and Anakin. It's like, yeah, we all wanted that.
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer. Live action Clone Wars. Why not?
Yeah.
But hey, who's excited for War of the Rohirrim? I'm not, after watching that trailer.
Listen, as soon as Gary says I should see it, I'll watch it. That's my take on that. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I had kind of an interest in it initially. It's like, okay, you're delving into the history of these people that we saw in the second movie, and it could potentially fill in a lot of gaps and give us like a pretty cool story if it's well done. But then you see the trailer and it's like, okay, they've delved into the typical girl boss formula, where it's like she's not respected by her people, but she has to rise up and become this leader in battle, which you know, from the lore, as far as I understand it, she was like a literal footnote in the history of Rohan.
Unnamed daughter of Helm
Yeah,
Hammerhand.
exactly. But suddenly she's like this person who was actually at the center of everything that happened in this gigantic war. So
Is she wearing a wedding dress?
it's no.
I say
It'll
it's a
be
little
like,
on the nose.
Isn't that like the same formula for what they did in Rings of Power? They took Galadriel and made her like relevant to everything.
Yeah. Although
Yeah.
this is Max, right? This isn't Amazon.
No, I know.
Coming out
I'm
to
just saying
movies.
it's an interesting thing with it. They want to find the closest
Yeah.
thing they can to a female lead that they can make
Like,
as
let's
part of
look
every.
for any female character who we can turn
this
into a
is-
girl boss.
We've
This is actually
locked
coming to
in.
theater.
We've locked in the bet now, right? Galadriel's going to be the one to try and convince Isildur not to toss the ring. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great. She'll replace Laura. It feels like something they do.
Oh yeah. Like we'll straight up see her like grab his sword and be the one who swings it at Sauron to like cut the ring from his hand.
The way
Like-
she's characterized, I wouldn't be at all surprised if she took the ring from him, pushed him into a volcano, and just walked off with it. I mean, that's the kind of thing she would do. She's horrible.
Yeah.
You know, it's sad to see, but Lord of the Rings is slowly but surely turning into a zombie franchise because obviously the Hobbit movies were terrible, and then Rings of Power was Rings of Power. Now we've got War of the Rohirrim, which is almost certainly going to be shite, and then you've got those Gollum movies.
Gollum movies,
It's just turning into a sludge pipe. It is sad to see
Well,
because it's happened to so many other franchises.
You know, it's like it's been this like dam that's held its own for however many years since the original trilogy, and it's like a tiny crack appeared with the Hobbit movies, and like they were pretty shit, but like, you know, we could accept them for what they were. Then that crack just like burst forth with the Amazon series, and now we've got War of the Rohirrim. Now we've got all the additional movies that are going to get shat out about Gollum, and it's like the dam has just given way, and it's now unstoppable.
It's the nature of like you can only gatekeep for so long before, generally speaking, there's the cultural like zeitgeist of knowledge and reference for the actual content has become way. It's like Star Wars. That's what happened to it. Way more of Star Wars was awful. So when you say Star Wars, what does your brain go? And it's like, well, we want to keep going to the original trilogy and the books and stuff, but you just wonder how much sludge will come out before we're like, man, leave Lord of the Rings alone.
Do you think that's why Andy is doing it? Because it's sort of like, well, they're going to keep doing it, so maybe I could do it with bit of knowledge, and that's why Andy brought all the original people. Now, granted, the original people are also doing this and decided to focus on the daughter, so everyone could be corrupted. But do you think maybe he's like, well, if it's going to be ruined and made anyway, I can at least do it and play Gollum, write it, bring back all the old actors.
You never know with like someone like that, because you kind of wonder like, hey, finally I'm going to be center stage and I'm going to be calling the shots and directing and all that. Like, is it just ego? Is it like an opportunity for him, or does he really care about it? I want to edge towards the latter option, just on the basis that this launched
he made
him.
Venom 2, right? Andy
Did he do that?
He directed it, right? Am I wrong on that?
I don't fucking know. Like, because I can't remember anything about Venom 2. I'm not entirely convinced that it's actually a movie that exists.
I feel like I
Yeah,
would
he
remember.
directed Venom 2.
Oh my god. Okay.
Accent, none of you
Well, that's worrying.
I haven't even
Well-
seen that movie.
I go towards the former option in that
Oh
case.
no.
But even then, even if
God.
he is very, and I can see it absolutely being something he wants to do because he has really fond nostalgic memories of making, you know, the great trilogy. But that itself is not always a very good approach. So I get sort of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull vibes from it, in the sense that, you know, you go back because you have fond memories of doing it ages ago. You don't have a particular story to tell. In this case, you've got a paragraph of source material to work with, but you remember having fun doing it. So let's get all the old guys together. It'll be fun. It'll be just like old times. That's what everyone will say. And then it will come out and people will think, you know, that's kind of a substanceless, contentless, empty thing.
It'll be plasticky as fuck.
90-year-old McKellen. Yeah.
Because he said, like, I'm up for doing more of these, but you better get me soon because I'm going to die. Because
He's 85.
Yeah. And like, that's tragic. And like, the world will be poorer without him in it. But like, we know it's going to happen. And it's a bit sad that he's so eager to sign up for it without actually seeing what the content of it is going to be. You know, it does bring to mind like the Hobbit trilogy. Like, they got him back. They got Christopher Lee back, or at least his partially animated corpse.
Hugo Weaving,
or
who
it-
said he wouldn't come back, but then at the end of the article, he's like, I would come back.
Yeah, it's just like, oh man, like you had, you know, I get sort of Force Awakens vibes with that, where it's like you had this opportunity, you had these actors who were still alive, they could have replayed their roles with an amazing story, but you had to get greedy. You had to like spin out a relatively short novel of like 200 or 300 pages into 3 movies. Doesn't support that at all. And man, it's just, this is where we're at now. We're picking over the bones of this franchise at this point. But hey, we've got Kraven the Hunter coming. So
Oh,
Yeah.
This is the real Craven. His dad, Russell Crowe, is supposed to be
fucking,
the
like,
actual Craven.
The trailer was so
overwhelming
funny.
command for this fucking movie.
I feel like we got a potential Madam Web on the way, or a male Madam Web.
Yeah,
Let's
this
hope
is
so.
this is the same guys that did Madam Web and what was the other, and Morbius.
Morbius?
So
Was
this
his
is
father
yeah,
hunting spiders in the Amazonian jungle?
You've got
Yeah,
me
so this
excited
is-
for it now.
This is the I consider this to be the Morbius trilogy. Those 3 movies, and this is going to be the 3rd one. I'm really looking forward to it.
So wait, is this like that weird in between sort of franchise? It's not like the mainline DC movies. It's not Marvel movies. It's like this tiny little sub franchise.
Worlds.
This movie feels like it should have been made about 6 or 7 years ago. Like no one's going to give a shit about Kraven the Hunter now.
Yeah.
I don't even know why.
Did you
this
see the
got
new
made.
deal between Disney and Marvel, where now Marvel can use the Sony villains, but it has to be 45 days after digital release. So when Kraven goes to digital, 45 days after that, they can start using the Kraven character in their movies.
Oh, I bet they're
Which-
itching to do that. They're going
That's
to be
what I'm saying,
sitting there
which I'm sure
waiting
everyone
for
wants.
us. Oh, thank
Everyone
God, we
wants-
can finally have
Kraven.
Kraven.
Yeah.
I'll be counting down the days.
It's like
Well,
forget
he is-
Thanos, forget like any villains that you've heard before. Kraven's our new
Yeah.
guy.
Who is
Good
Craven? What does he do? Does anybody
He's
know
a
who this guy
hunter.
is?
He hunts.
He just hunts.
He's a
He likes
hunty
to hunt.
boy.
Yeah.
I'd love to see it. If it's just a movie about a guy who lives in the wilderness and goes out to hunt stuff, yeah, that sounds far better than 99% of the stuff Hollywood makes.
Oh, dude, they could make Kraven fucking awesome, but
Super awesome. Yeah.
they're not. That's not gonna happen.
In terms of like the remaining movies, Sonic 3, don't give a shit. Like
How dare
first
you?
mo-
This is
the first 2 movies
Shadow
were-
the Hedgehog is here, Drake.
The trailer looked good. It got me. I haven't even
Well, the
watched the
thing is-
first 2.
Wait, what do you mean
the
it
first-
got
Watch
you?
this.
the first 2 movies, as far as I understand, were pretty successful. I'm
Well,
sure this
yeah.
one will be too. I just don't really care.
But it's
Not
Keanu
really-
Reeves. What if he gets a gun and a motorcycle? It's gonna be so great.
He
What if he
did
has a-
martial arts. He did the Neo move. And
What if he has a dog that gets killed and then he has to go on a revenge trip? Who knows,
Yes.
MauLer? You just don't know. Mufasa?
You're
You guys excited
You're
for that?
excited for Mufasa, though. That the Disney's 19th live action remake.
Fuck off.
Is this
Yeah.
he's literally found in a manger? Like, he's adopted. Mufasa's not an actual king.
I
Is this
just,
his
I,
origin?
how far back are we going to go with this shit? Like, are we going to then get another prequel of a prequel about Mufasa's father? Like, why he abandoned Mufasa? Like, what the fuck?
It's because it's solely because The Lion King was a successful remake that made over $1 billion. So they thought, okay, we have to do another one, but we can't do The Lion King 2 because I think that was a straight to video 90s thing. So they
Yeah.
thought, well, let's just do a cheesy prequel or something, and they ended up with this pile of shit.
Well,
Boo.
No,
Yeah, I
my
mean-
prediction, the only prediction I have for that is that by the time it does release on streaming, the size of the word Mufasa and the size of the word The Lion King will be reversed.
So we switched. Yeah.
Yep. A Lion
Yeah.
King story. And Dune, what have we got here? Like Dune
Is that Dune
Oh, the Dune
Prophecy?
TV show. Yeah.
Prophecy.
I heard this
Right.
is more than just a flashback, that there's supposed to be multiple time periods that they're showing, which would
Is this
make me
spinning
ever
off?
so slightly interested.
Is this spinning off from the Denise Villeneuve movies?
I
Or
think
is
so.
this just like completely disconnected?
like they're-
It's 10. I think I read that it's set 10,000 years before the Paul Atreides timeline, and it's about
Yeah.
the origins of the Bene Gesserit.
Of course it fucking is. Of course it is.
But through visions,
So that
I
we
guess
can
we're
have an
gonna see-
all-female cast, of course.
More
Sorry,
lesbian
I didn't-
witches.
Yeah. That's
Because
essentially
we haven't
what
had
we're
enough of
dealing with.
those this year. We've had 2 so far, in the Acolyte and Agatha. So, although I don't know, I have a little bit of hope for this. They might do it right.
Why do I feel like there's this kind of like dark, malevolent cloud that just hovers over anything in Hollywood? And like the moment like anything sort of rises up a little bit, like any franchise, any movie that's kind of successful, like, and it's almost like a sapling that's growing out of the soil. This thing just swoops down and grabs it and goes, yeah, it will become a vehicle for the message. And that's
add
all you
lesbian
get.
witches. Just add lesbian witches to everything.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
It's it's like it's South Park. It's like put a witch in it and make her lame and gay. Like that's
what we talked about, the toxic positivity of all the writers' rooms. Like when you were in the room and they started chanting the power of one, the power of two, the power of many, why did no one say that this is stupid and start laughing? It's like they're not allowed to. They're not allowed to. And anyone outside is dismissed as just toxic gamer talk or toxic audience talk.
Oh,
bye.
Oh, wait.
What did you say?
I don't know. Sorry.
Let's
I
piss
really
him
like
off,
that
damn.
movie.
The lesbian
fan
witches
of
got
lesbian
them.
Power of one.
Yeah, there we go. Wait, I
Nope,
missed.
wrong one.
Despot.
Why has that gone? Hold on. Despot needs to come back in. Have we lost him?
Oh no. I didn't realize he liked Agatha
Despot,
like that much.
come back. There we go.
Okay.
There we got you. You dropped out. Sorry.
Was it the lesbian witches? Are you a big fan?
Sorry. You'll love Agatha.
Some
Well, he's
people
not
are
even
just
talking to us.
scared of strong women. Okay.
Let me take you
But
down
if
the
you
witch's
are-
road.
If you are going to do like strong, powerful lesbian witches, the Bene Gesserit are a good candidate for it. So like they are responsible for the entire seeding of the prophecy that leads to Paul Atreides. But of course, like that ends terribly. Lots of people die. So they shouldn't be portrayed as overt heroes as long as they're doing it reasonably faithfully. And I think it's based on a prequel book. I want to call it Children of Dune, but I could be wrong about that. But it's Frank Herbert's son, Brian Herbert, wrote this prequel book focused on the Bene Gesserit, which I think they're taking a lot of their ideas from. All I know about the Brian Herbert authored Dune books is that they are not particularly good.
But is this
No.
like Game of Thrones? Like intrigue, political intrigue inside of established houses and stuff? Like I'm just wondering what the tone of the show would be.
I've not
No
read
one-
that book. I mean, I would imagine that because there are so many similarities between the way that both of those universes are constructed, and even the way the narratives span out. And there's a lot of great power, great house politics in Dune, and the Bene Gesserit as this, sort of universe anchoring
manipulators.
sisterhood who see like the conflict between sort of economics and religion, and they sort of take the political route between them. So they are a really interesting group of lesbian witches. It's just whether or not they can make them an interesting group of lesbian witches.
I worry because I think I definitely agree with you on this one. In terms of their structure and their place within the Dune universe, they are incredibly interesting, but because it's handled by modern writers, my feeling is that it's just going to be it'll be a cipher for current day events, current day political ideas, and it'll just be essentially strong women trying to rise up against a patriarchy that keeps putting them down.
And another a very important aspect of the Bene Gesserit, which I fear they'll basically shit can, is that the Bene Gesserit are they use sex as a weapon and as a political tool. So they will send out their members to have sex with specific men because they want the genetics, and then they'll give them instructions to have a boy or a girl. Yeah, they'll seduce men. And so sex is a very, very important part of the Bene Gesserit. And when you look at Agatha and the Acolyte, what they did with the lesbian witches was they divorced them from men. The idea, one of the reasons they had lesbian witches was because they wanted them divorced from men completely. So there's no men in the show and it's just women. But you can't do that with the Bene Gesserit. The Bene Gesserit are intricately involved with men constantly, sexually and politically.
Well, I think that would mean a tacit acknowledgement that in this universe, the universe of Dune, men are still kind of nominally in charge, at least officially.
Yeah,
that's why the Bene Gesserit exists, because like most of the major political positions, the positions of leadership, positions of royalty, when it comes to like the emperor and stuff, it's all men who fill those positions in the world of Dune, because the books were written back in the 60s, so different time and all that. And the Bene Gesserit have to work in the shadows to covertly influence things behind the scenes. They don't have overt power, and women don't have overt power in the world of Dune. And I don't know if they would be willing to make that admission, because that becomes quite embarrassing to imply that women don't actually have power.
Alea Sado, who goes around seducing everyone and like a super hot femme fatale, gaining power for the
sounds amazing.
That show.
Angry Badger, but it's because it sounds so good that I know
won't.
that's not what we're going to get. That we're never going to get that. because it's
And
so
even-
obviously a win.
The Dune
Yeah.
Part 2 film struggled with this even. It couldn't have that power dynamic play out at the end. That's why they changed Cheney's ending to that book. He's supposed to have the line directly spoken by Paul's mother to Cheney, basically saying that, yes, the power behind every man in the universe is a woman, but it's a subtle form of power. Like, this is not the kind of hard power that men use. We are special in a different way. And even Dune Part 2, which didn't do a bad job, I don't think, generally being faithful to the books and not injecting too much message content, couldn't have that. It still had to have her go on as like a strong independent woman back off into the desert, which will of course make the next one very difficult to set up. So yeah, hopes for this are minimal, but not quite on the ground, I think.
Yeah. There's a question here as well that came in from Albert Nada Retro. MauLer, you Elm Street basher. If Bond was real, he'd have been deleted 10 minutes into any of his movies. So I guess Bond movies suck, huh? How does it feel?
I mean, some of them Bond movies are bad, yeah.
Okay. Fucking touche, sir.
All the jokes are there.
There was not Sean Connery.
Well, that's fair enough. I wanted to talk as well because I don't know about you guys if you've experienced this, but I have experienced the Tomb Raider series on Netflix, and I can best liken it to the Resident Evil series on Netflix in terms of like faithfulness to the characters. Wow, yeah, because I'm old enough to remember the Lara Croft Tomb Raider games from back in the 90s when she was actually cool and interesting and an adventurer, and she was just there to hunt for treasure, and it was awesome.
And had pointy tits.
Yeah.
She had triangular tits as well because polygon counts and all that. They were quite slim back then in the
The
PlayStation
girls that
days.
do the classic cosplay with like the card.
Yeah,
I love
they
it
are
every time I
great.
see it.
But I think what the original games nailed was her character and her personality, which I think was ideal for a series of games like this. She was not even a mercenary. She was an adventure seeker. She was a thrill seeker. She did this stuff not because she needed the money and not because she was doing like altruistic, I want to return these, sacred relics to their ancient ancestral people who, left them in the ground for thousands of years and would
It was
probably
fun.
destroy them with a sledgehammer if they got the chance nowadays. But it was just, she was there to just uncover treasure. And that was fine for what it was. We've got the new version of Lara now. And this one has daddy issues, constantly cries over the men in her life that have died, that she feels guilty for. She's constantly sad about everything. She's moping around. She's a lesbian now, apparently, as well, because, it's a Netflix show. So, of course, she has to be. And it just sucked every ounce of fun out of one of the most fun and entertaining characters in video games. And I don't know why they did it, but wow, they butchered it.
Well, you know why they did it, but don't know why they get away with it still.
Essentially, yeah. The games have started to do it as well because they had the prequel trilogy that was supposed to set up the origin for Lara.
She never turned into Lara. She
No.
never got the shorts. She never got the guns. She never got the personality.
She
gets the guns. She gets the guns in episode 7, I think, and she finally uses them in episode 8 against
in the show.
T-Rex.
Okay.
Yeah. But in terms of the games, so in the first game, like I could get behind that idea that she's young, inexperienced, she's terrified by what's going on, she's not done this adventuring thing. That's fine. But you need to then move beyond that with the second and third ones. And they don't. They have her stuck in this endless loop of mourning dead people and being terrified of everything and being terribly sorry about everything that she's done and like the people that she's killed. She's like traumatized by that. It's just it's not the Lara Croft that we remember, and I don't understand how this is ever meant to morph into the one that we get in the video games.
How's her
But
friend
they're still
Zip?
trying to bring. Is that
Zip? Her partner?
Oh, yeah. Fuck me. That guy. Like, in the games, I recall him from, like, he was introduced in the early 2000s, like those games. I think it was Angel of Darkness or, yeah, it was one of those ones. He was there as part of that group of, like, friends that Lara had. Like, I didn't really like that idea anyway, that she should have like a support team that was helping her along. I think she should be like working solo anyway. But he was 100% not gay back then.
No,
like,
he was very straight. Yeah.
And he was kind of like quite a butch, sort of not gangstery type guy, but like very, very masculine. And they've completely revamped him for this show. Now he's like the most campy, flamboyantly gay sort of character, like the most reductive sort of stereotype of Hollywood's idea of what a gay guy should look like in this. You know, and it's just, again, it's insufferable. He's not funny. He's not engaging. He's just there to tick a box. And like,
you sure the people that made Velma didn't make this?
That's what it feels like. And the thing is, you could 100% take a character like that and, like, you know, maybe not take an existing character who's kind of straight in the games, but like you could introduce a gay character like that and make him interesting and just make that a facet of an overall personality. But instead, they just go with, no, we're just going to go down the straight. Sorry, wrong word.
Yeah.
We're just going to go down the road of just making him campy and flamboyant and ridiculous.
There's a specific pattern of taking a straight, strong black man and making him as gay as and effeminate as possible.
I was thinking about that. Like, why did they
100%.
do this to black men? They kind of did it
they're
with
the manliest of all men.
They did it with Lando Calrissian, right? So they had to make him kind of robosexual in Solo. And they've done it with a bunch of other black characters. I don't know why they do this. It's like it's not diverse enough for them to have a black guy, so they have to make him black and gay.
Because Despot, you can't constantly preach against toxic masculinity and patriarchy when a strong black man who's the head of the household is the epitome of patriarchy and masculinity. And so they attack them and break them down. They love black people, just not the strong, independent thinking ones. And that's why you see them destroyed constantly.
I think what they're going for is I can't remember who said it, but it was like the non-threatening male sidekick. And that's what they wanted with this guy. It's like, because if he was like this big, muscular, independent, masculine black guy, that would be overshadowing Lara, and they didn't want that. So the best way they can nullify that, they didn't want to have any sexual tension between him and her. So the best way they can nullify it is like, oh, we'll just make him gay. And he's like really campy and flamboyant and all the rest of it. And like that just takes him out of the picture immediately. And then, you know, the flip side of that coin is that Lara now has an implied sexual relationship with Camilla, who's like another character that we meet halfway through the series. And again, it's about like, I think they went as far as they could with this without outright stating it, but it's very heavily implied that that's the relationship that they've got. And again, I just think, why? Like, the Lara Croft from the games was never once implied to be a lesbian, but they do it now because it's Netflix.
Haley Atwell, how's her voice? At least
she's
like
good.
Yeah,
she's a good voice actress because like she's posh and British, and that's kind of what you need for Lara. And like if you look at her, she is the perfect physical likeness of Lara. Like,
yeah,
if she was 10 years younger, I think you could easily put her into like a Tomb Raider series and have her do live action.
I would have her now. Just do a legacy. Just say it's like legacy Lara Croft. It's like an older.
I'd be willing to see her in the outfit,
think,
just to see, make sure she looked right.
I would want to see it, but
that would be a lot better than whatever Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to do.
Oh God. I don't even want to imagine how bad that's. Did you see the update? There was a whole article about there's an update, and Jennifer Salke's update was, I have no update. So who knows? Hopefully they cancel it.
Well, this is this whole thing. Like they've paid what $60 million to Phoebe Waller-Bridge to develop all these different shows over the years, and she's produced absolutely nothing.
6 years. The point? I would have done that. I would have done that for $30 million. I would have produced nothing for them over the course of 6 years.
Yeah, you could have saved them 50% of their budget. I think they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with her, though. Like they're trying to get this, you know, this comedy writer who does like satirical, like subversive kind of comedy dramas, like that talk about real life issues and stuff, and try and port her into doing all this bizarre stuff. Like I just don't feel like it's in her wheelhouse in the slightest.
Did you watch Fleabag? I just don't understand how people say, yeah, Fleabag's good. Let's give her Indiana Jones and Tomb Raider. What was
Did you see Baby Reindeer?
Yes.
It'd be like giving the guy from Baby Reindeer an action movie. It's like, okay, he's
Yeah.
clearly a good comedian. He's a talented writer, and he's quite a good actor. But Jesus Christ, he's not action. He's not sci-fi. Like, leave the guy where he is. Let him just work in that kind of genre, that kitsch genre.
Yeah. So I don't know
They should
what
go
her-
the other way and get George Lucas to make a show about a depressed lesbian living in London. See how that works out.
Hey, it might be good. A lot of side swipes and
Yeah, I think the biggest failing of the show, though, is it made Lara into someone that I don't want to go on an adventure with. She doesn't seem like the kind of person who would want to venture out into the world and look for relics or go on like missions or anything like that. And that was the real allure of the games. And I've said this like in my review. I think with the games, particularly, Lara was less of a character that I wanted to know the intimate details of her life, and more of an icon. She was an archetype. She was as James Bond was. You know, you get to see you get to see them from a distance, but you don't necessarily get to get an insight into their day-to-day lives because you don't want it. What you're interested in is the adventures that they go on. You're interested in the glamour of what they do, the pull of the adventures that they get involved in. I don't want to know about their messy personal lives and all of their hang-ups and their insecurities and all that crap. That's not what I'm looking for in a character like that. But that's what they insist on giving us with this show, and it just
I want my character to have existential dread every single time I'm trying to play, or break down every time I kill an enemy. Yeah, I just wanted her to turn into Lady Lara Croft eventually.
There's a scene in the show which really encapsulates that. It is a chase scene whereby Lara Croft and Camilla go down to the catacombs in Paris, and they are investigating the Knights Templar, because they believe that the Knights Templar are connected to some ancient Bond-like super evil group that want to take over the world that they're investigating in the modern day. And what we discover, so there's a chase scene, and in the chase scene, it does this flashback. So in the corridor, Lara is Lara in the modern day, and then when she runs into a room, she becomes Lara as a little girl. And the idea is that she's not only trying to defeat these bad guys who are the descendants of the Knights Templar, she's also trying to deal with her inner trauma, and that's the real enemy she's trying to defeat. And it's hideous. It's this whole chase scene where half the time they have her depicted as little Lara, like a 9-year-old, and half the time she's an adult, and it doesn't work. They're trying to do this really heavy-handed, hammy symbolism of inner childhood trauma. It's
a little
fucking
Assassin's Creed
awful.
stealing too, with the Templars being the big bad. Did they work for Abstergo?
I can't remember. They're called the Light, this super evil group that want to take over the world, and we're never introduced to who the big bad of the Light is. The big bad in this is generic white guy.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, like he's mad at the Light because they killed his dad, essentially. That's like, and they're trying to parallel like his grief at the loss of a parent with Lara's grief over the loss of not one but two father figures. And like again, it puts her into a holding pattern where she just experiences the same thing over and over again. She's mourning the loss of a male mentor figure.
Yeah. Did she just get over her father? Now she's always still mourning something?
Yeah, there's always got to be something. And it's like, okay, there's more that you can use to drive a character. And again, like it goes back to what I said. Like, I don't want all these details about Lara's personal life and like who she like is day to day and like all the messy aspects of her personality. I want to see her go on adventures. I want to see her do exciting things. Like this is, I don't know, like maybe she just doesn't translate into a TV show all that well, but this is what they've given us.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. She does, like, if you took the character and adapted her faithfully, you know, she's in a TV show, you could do a 2 to 3 episode arc whereby she is going after a specific relic or she's raiding a specific tomb.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That is perfect episodic television. But they are so fucking bad at it that they make you doubt that the character can even be adapted for TV.
This is the thing, like, even the Angelina Jolie movie, because I won't talk about the second one, but like even the first one, like I think that's probably the best stab that they've taken at Tomb Raider and Lara Croft. They even then had to give her daddy issues where she's like, you know, pining after her dead father and she wants to find out what happened to him and all that. It's like, okay, you still have to do that. It's like, is that the only arc that Hollywood writers can give to Lara Croft?
At the time, that felt like a very generic sort of. We got to give her something intriguing about her history to solve by the end of the film. It can't
It was
just be
John
that she's on a
Voight.
fun adventure. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because even at the time, it did. I remember thinking like, I just like the fun action part of this. The whole my dad thing.
She
I was
had
just
the
like,
shorts and the big booba and the double guns and the accent, and that's all I wanted from
I
a hot
love
rich chick.
watching her reload those guns. It was cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. No, Angelina Jolie did a good job with that. I will give her due. And I don't think there's any other actress in Hollywood at the time that could have played Lara Croft as well as she did.
That was like her knockout period, right? Like she was
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
like early 2000s, like she was just on fire. She was probably like the premier actress in Hollywood at the time. Obviously, times changed, but you know, that's what it was back then. And she did her best with the role.
Ages
With
since I've
Indiana
seen
Jones,
them, but
got-
like my impression with those was always, if you watch like the Lara Croft films from back then, they are very obviously made for quote unquote the male gaze, I guess. Like, would you look at the old?
Fuck
film?
yeah.
Like the male
I'm not saying
gaze.
I'm
Yes,
not
okay.
saying there's anything wrong with this, but in terms of the calculation, I suspect is being made by the writers of this new thing. What they're looking at is they're saying, well, it's a popular gaming IP with a female lead character, and we don't want to have a skewed audience in one direction. What can we do to make this character popular across all demographics? In other words, how can we up female interest in the Lara Croft story? And that tends to lend itself to a certain type of storytelling, which is way more focused on interrelationship drama, much less focused on wacky adventures and going to find like ancient artifacts and beating bad guys. That's like stereotypically male stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's just the motive behind it. They think this will just make it more universally appealing. But in trying to make it universally appealing, as always seems to happen, they've managed to make it unappealing to pretty much everybody.
There's a
what
very
happens. You
telling
can't-
scene in the
can't
first
believe it, like-
episode where she's supposed to be hosting some. How can I describe this quickly? Like, she's decided she wants to get rid of all her family treasures, all her heirlooms, all the artifacts that her father like accumulated. So she's going to give them away in some charity auction, and she's terrified because she has to give a speech for like a couple of minutes in front of all these. And I'll quote Zip on this one: rich white folks who are going to buy all her treasures. I kid you not. That's what
She said
said.
she's white. She said it out loud.
Yeah.
Well, wait, isn't she really
her
rich too?
friend, the guy, the furry, the black gay guy with the
Zip.
light blue nail polish, Zip. He turns around and says something like, "Laura, quick, you have to give a speech so that all these rich white people can buy your stuff." Something like that. She doesn't say it, but her wee
can't
friend.
help it.
Yeah, he does. Like,
Which
that's what
I
I'm saying.
get.
I'm paraphrasing the show essentially. But yeah, anyway, so she's like really nervous about that, which Lara Croft would never be anyway. Then like she vanishes, and he's looking for her, and he finds her over with all the waiters and waitresses, just like drinking wine out of a bottle, which you know single women are prone to do, like eating crackers or something. Like, and yeah, like she's walking away, and one of the waitresses says to her, "I love your dress," and she says like, "Yeah, thank you. It has pockets." Like again, it's just it's designed specifically for that female demographic that have just like they've known the struggle of not having a dress with pockets in it that they can't store stuff in, and you know, not wanting to be debonair and suave and sophisticated and just want to neck wine out of a bottle. That's what they're trying to appeal to there, but that is laced throughout the show. It's like deconstructing the mystique and the sophistication of Lara Croft in favor of this down to earth, relatable, boring as fuck.
And no femininity. Like there's a scene in The Line of Fire where Clint Eastwood is with Renee Russo. She's an agent, and he's looking at her. She's like, "What are you staring at?" He's like, "I'm just wondering where you keep your sidearm." No joke about pockets. These little moments are lost, and they're treated, differently.
So yeah, that aspect of the show is just it's prevalent throughout, and again, like Lara Croft was a character that I'm going to guess was constructed primarily for a male demographic to enjoy. It wasn't designed to appeal to like, it wasn't designed to be relatable necessarily to women in the same way that James Bond isn't supposed to be relatable necessarily. We're not super spies, us gentlemen here. And we don't sip martinis in tuxedos.
Well, speak for yourself.
I say, speak for
Well,
yourself.
yeah. Play. You fashionable motherfucker. Yeah, we're not sipping martinis in tuxedos in casinos in Monte Carlo or wherever, but it's something to aspire to. It's aspirational. It's interesting because it's the idea of what you could have, like the mystique of adventure that's out there. But they haven't gone for that with this. They wanted to make her this down-to-earth, relatable character, and good God, it kills the interest in her.
There's this wonderful line in it. I have to talk about the dialogue because the dialogue in this is shockingly bad.
Don't talk
I
about
have
the
to, man.
dialogue.
Gonna trigger him.
So she's talking to generic white villain, and they're talking about the nature of power because the MacGuffin in this is super powerful. How original. Anyway, so the white guy says, "Power is not a bad thing, Laura. Power can do a lot of good things. Power can help you defeat fascists."
Oh yeah.
I laughed
God.
out loud at that shit. There's another line. Another line is Laura turns to generic evil white guy and says, "Aren't you sick and tired of being sick and tired?"
You could write a song about that.
Oh no.
Oh,
The
the- this- and
discourse
that's-
rap.
The dialogue in this is shocking.
It's rough. It really is rough. I did like this one as well. Roger Moore did have a cool home in James Bond, though. Wasn't it cheesy as fuck? It was like this weird mixture of like 1970s chic wood paneled cool and like ultra modern gadgets that just had no place being there. Like, oh yeah. Again, I don't want to see James Bond's home necessarily.
I want to see James Bond go to the grocery store. What does he pick?
Yeah, I want to do it. See him file his tax returns. And
I'd
just
like
have to
3
do,
more
like-
movies of him getting over his dead girlfriend. I think that would really be fun.
Him arguing the border between his garden and the neighbor's garden for planting something. It's like, what is it? Come on now.
Everyone knows he doesn't know how to read a property line.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like he doesn't understand, like if the neighbor's trees grow over into your garden, you can actually cut them back to that boundary line. Like,
we need a new word because it's not the entertainment industry anymore. It's just like entertaining
Content.
the audience is the last thing they think about.
Yeah.
So like listening to this about Lara Croft, you start with that and you end up with what you guys are describing. No one's giving a shit about entertainment.
We always end up coming up with better. Like I still want the story that the chat came up with instead of Acolyte, which was a serial killer, a serial killer hunting Jedi instead, and then a young Jedi teaming up with like a private detective to go to the underworld and figure it out. I was like, a billion times better than anything they will come up with.
But that's the amazing part is that any chat will come up with something better. Any conversation somehow, years are spent on these projects. Millions of dollars, and that's what they end up with. And that's the amazing part, like how that
300
happens.
million. 300 million for
Dude, it makes me
Acolyte.
want to rewatch the Angela Jolie film now. I'm like,
Yeah,
I honestly do.
She's
can have
fun
fun
and
with that.
playful in it.
Yeah.
She's got this fun, playful, kind of debonair character about her, and you compare that to this shite, and she's such a wet blanket. She's just a bucket of cold water. Every time you want to have some fun or something fun might be going on, she starts crying or she thinks back to your daddy issues or her trauma. And do you know what I thought of her? Like, I thought of this Lara Croft that they have in this show. If I was her acquaintance and I saw her walking down the street, I would like turn down an alley to
Cross the
avoid
street?
having to, just to avoid having to deal with her. She's so fucking
Oh
miserable.
shit, there's Laura. Go, let's cross.
There's literally nowhere to go, so you just stare at a wall. You just turn and stare at a wall.
How do you make a man feel that way about Lara Croft? Like, that's quite impressive.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, it goes back to what I was saying. Like, she is the easiest character in the world to write in terms of, like, an adventurer point of view. Like, she just needs a jumping off point to go off on another adventure, find a thing that's probably going to lead to another thing that has to prevent the end of the world, whatever. That's all fine. And she could be a badass, kick-ass, gun-toting adventurer along the way. Great. Everyone loves it. That's what made the game such an amazing success back in the day, because she was a fun character that we wanted to go on adventures with. And she actually, if you watch the cutscenes from the original game, she was actually quite like quippy and like she didn't take it too seriously. And she always had like a good rejoinder for people when the villain had her cornered. That's all great. It's great stuff. And like, that's all you needed for something like this. Relatively simple, but good God, yeah, they make her into such a wet blanket. It's just depressing to watch.
But the ideas they lead with, like it took us 3 films in the Indiana Jones series to get to any sort of daddy issues. It starts with the adventure and the fun, but now they just always lead with the most depressing part of the story and think that's going to hook people in. Like
it almost makes you wonder if the writers themselves have daddy issues going on.
You think? Yeah, there's a lot of self, no pun intended, self-inserts. We're literally just watching people's therapy sessions in a lot of this, the way they write characters and storylines.
Yeah. Well, wasn't that essentially what that's what She-Hulk was? It was like the writers like having their existential crisis of like, oh, people are going to hate the show, so we're going to hate them back right off the bat.
Gow pre-insult everyone and then write us as the villain so that the reactions they knew they would get would be justified when they self-fulfilled their own prophecy.
And then the Acolyte was, Leslie Headland's own unresolved problems with her sister and her like struggling to come out and stuff. Yeah, I'm just going to put that into a TV show and like spend $300 million so that I can like feel better.
Funny thing about
myself.
that is that's not even the problem compared to just how inept she is as a writer. Because if you like plug in, experience from your life, it can work out. It's just she's so awful at it. Like it becomes really funny.
Yeah.
I mean, they
should have protected them more.
We haven't even got into the plot holes in this Netflix Lara Croft, and there's a lot of them. There's a lot. For example, the sidekick, I keep forgetting Zip.
Zip,
Zip, Zer. That was pronoun.
So it probably is his pronoun. So he basically can see whatever Laura is doing because he's constantly in the computer room talking to her through her earpiece. But how is he able to see what she's doing? Like, does she have cameras following her around?
I do. I wonder that.
Contacts?
Yeah, because this guy has a complete awareness of what her situation is at any time.
And the other thing is,
bizarre.
He is constantly in communication with her through her earpiece. And it does cut out. When they go into the catacombs, it cuts out. But there are other times where it doesn't cut out, where it should. So, for example, there's a scene where she literally teleports to the middle of the Mongolian desert. And he's still in her earpiece, like he knows where she is and he can still communicate with her. And I'm thinking, how? There's no internet in the middle of the Mongolian desert. And he's talking to her in the middle of the jungle. How? I don't know.
This is the Fast
None of this is ever explained.
It's like in the Fast and the Furious movies where they just are able to communicate by radio that you never see. And they can always talk to each other whenever they need to, no matter how far apart they are. It's great.
Or from car to car, they just look across and start talking, and you're like, they got an earpiece? What's going on here? What?
Yeah, or they just like sign languaging to each other, or they like lip reading or something. I don't know.
That was like a meme in, I want to say the Avengers movies. They had to tell the actors, you stop putting your fingers in your ear whenever you say anything to anybody, right? So it looks like you're actually doing something.
Yeah.
There's a scene where body-positive, non-threatening male sidekick goes with Lara through a big cave system, and they have to do a lot of running and a lot of jumping. And I'm looking at this big fat guy thinking that guy could not walk the length of himself, and he's able to run through this whole cave system.
Yeah, that's Jonah. Like from the games, I remember him just being this like, and he's exactly the same in this TV show.
Oh, the big Samoan dude.
Yeah.
Oh, he was cool. Did they ruin him?
Like he wasn't. It's tough to ruin him when he was already just like a non-entity. Like he has no personality. His job is to just be supportive and like affirm everything that Lara says and does. That's essentially it. He just agrees with her on everything. He's always there to encourage her and tell her she's amazing. He doesn't have any real drives or ambitions of his own. It's just bleh. He's a helpful sidekick. That's all he does.
For some reason in my head, I've got like them running through these catacombs, and like he's behind her, he trips and falls over, and it just transitions into the boulder scene from Indiana Jones, and it's just this massive fat guy. That would be fun. That would make it way better by the sounds of things.
See, that sounds entertaining. You can't have
You're entering scary movie territory in a good way.
I liked him from the first game. That's what he said. He was always just so supportive of me.
I think The Simpsons did that once, where it's like Bart has like an Indiana Jones moment where Homer like falls down the stairs and he's like, rolling.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Stealing money or something.
Yeah, it's just a jar of coins and some notes. It's good shit.
Let me ask you as well.
And they have Homer at the end with like a rake going, oh,
yeah. Bart like flies away on like is he on a plane or is it like a school bus?
I think.
School bus, yeah.
With the hat. You know,
yeah, and Homer's just like, bagabagoo.
Oh, I remember
Good
when the
20
Simpsons
years of
was
that
funny.
show, at least.
Fucking hell, it was funny.
Yeah, at its best, it was good stuff. Let me ask you guys something though. You know, you guys, some of you have experienced Agatha all along. Some of you have experienced the Penguin. Would you ever think to compare the two? Well, this person did.
I
It says-
would, but it's what to do and what not to do, not as
yeah,
equals.
no,
It's fucking crazy as well because the shows actually share a little bit of a, it's all about a spin-off. It is a spin-off of another thing about a villain that they're trying to give us more information on, you know what I mean? Like the connections actually come out.
that is where the similarities may end, I suspect.
No, of course. I just mean that it's almost like that's weird that they connect up on that level, but simultaneously are polar opposites of quality.
Yeah. No, so God. I watched probably the first 3 or 4 episodes of Agatha all along and decided I just don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to give up half an hour of my life once a week. It could be better spent doing literally anything apart
You
from
missed
watching
a
the
banger
show.
episode where we find out he's Wanda's son that we knew all the whole damn time.
Oh my God, you're not serious, are you?
I know.
Wow.
But yeah, to compare it to the Penguin, especially episode 4, wow, that's a bold move. I genuinely have to say, because I watched episode 4 just before we started this because I'm kind of playing catch up, and that was some good shit right there. That was some excellent writing, some excellent performances. They really took what could have been like a fairly generic, strong female character antagonist and actually turned her into a really fucking interesting character that went through a great deal. And you 100% understand where she's coming from and what she's all about now. And that is some good stuff right there.
It recontextualizes a bunch of stuff in past episodes and even stuff from the movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it for him, but yeah, it's really good.
And I think the props to the actress, like she gives a superb performance throughout this episode. Like she has through the whole season, but this is where she's really tested, I suppose.
I do.
Lottie.
I get the impression this might actually make her give her some new opportunities where it may not, because like she's really put her ass into gear for like getting this to work. It seems anyway, from watching it. She portrays what you could say. Isn't this funny? I think she portrays completely different characters in pre and post Arkham. And she does an excellent job of it. The tiny details of how she operates, how she holds herself, how she'll respond to people, the amount of the way she even walks around, her body language changes completely after everything that's happened. And I was thinking to myself, like, she's done that well with the same person. Meanwhile, we had a Madla Stenberg playing 2 completely different characters with different backgrounds. You wouldn't fucking notice.
Yep.
This is what I wanted from Joker too, by the way, as far as Arkham and breaking someone down is everything we got with her. And damn.
Because the scene where she's inducted into Arkham, I suppose, and like stripped of
My
her
hands were
clothes.
sweating.
You've got this really like unnerving sort of sinister music playing, and she gets put through the worst degradations you could imagine. And it's all just played really quick and matter of fact, but it's very brisk, and she's dehumanized in that moment. Like she's turned from a person in the outside world, a person who's wealthy and important and influential, to just a piece of meat essentially that they're processing.
You're crazy before you even get out of intake.
Yeah. And like you can 100% understand why this place, especially with what they do to her, it takes a sane person, turns them insane with what they put her through. And it's brilliantly conveyed. I think it's a great episode. And I think I really like her as a character.
I actually thought as well, because I was talking to Az about this, how when you recast Carmine Falcone, I was like, seems unnecessary since he's dead. Like, I don't know what we're doing with that. After this one scene with him and her, I was like, it was so fucking worth recasting.
Mark
scheduling.
Mark Strong should have been in the fucking original movie. Like, I
didn't like John Turturro?
Well, I like John Turturro. I'm just saying, because John Turturro couldn't do this, like scheduling wise. So I'm glad they decided we need someone to do this, because they needed an actor for that scene, not just any actor. He fucking nailed it. And I had this brief moment of like, oh, I remember what it was like to have a villain that I was like, wow, he's kind of scary.
Oh, and MauLer.
Yeah.
He played it like John Turturro. Don't you hate when an actor, like with Altered Carbon, Anthony Mackie did not play Kovacs the way Joel Kinnaman did? It's supposed to be the same character. He played the way John Turturro did, with the little, differences in tone of voice and all that. He didn't just do his own version of Carmine. He did the Carmine that we saw in the movie, which I really appreciated. Made it line up more.
Because I assume it feels like we're doing a bit spoiler free here, sort of, are we? Or
Yeah, I don't know. Are we?
Yeah, I'll keep it spoiler light.
because I think we all recommend it. I assume we do. I don't know.
Yes,
but
I do highly. Yes.
There's something she says to him in their conversation, and his reaction, he doesn't say anything. He just has a look at her and a movement toward her for a good 5-10 seconds. And I was so struck by it when I was watching it. I was like, "Fuck me."
Hair on my arms went up.
Well, I love a villain where it's like you feel like they could do anything at that moment. You don't know what they're going to do next, and that's such a great way of building the tension.
Well, and from the movies, we know that that's 10 years into him controlling the Gotham Renewal Fund set up by the Waynes, who also were part with the Arkhams of building Arkham State. So the point is, he was 10 years into being mayor of everything. He controlled everything. And I like that they did get, I won't say the context, but Kinsey from the movie, the corrupt cop that works at the Iceberg Lounge, they get that actor to come back in a flashback.
Yeah.
So they're at least trying to connect it.
I'm really happy that we finally got some good TV to enjoy, and
Please don't ruin it.
Yeah, great performances, great actors, really well written, well structured, well shot. The cinematography looks fantastic, and just great. Well done. I never expected anything like this from a Penguin spin-off.
Yeah.
Never. But they've really impressed me, and I love what they've done with this.
Yeah. And I see people saying it's inaccurate. This isn't it's an Elseworld story. It's a Batman, it's a Penguin, and they're pretty accurate to the overall comics, but it's not going to be, it's not going to have a shooting machine gun umbrella or anything. But I believe this is an Earth 1 Batman. It's very similar, where Alfred is actually the head of security for the Waynes and then fails and teaches Bruce. That's just straight out of Earth 1.
Is this true?
Well,
Did IGN give it 5 out of 10?
Yes,
course.
they did, because they were
Fucking seriously.
I mean, because as far as I'm aware as well, Sophia is from the comics, right? And they've really played around with how they're going to deal with
She looks very different in the comics, MauLer. Yeah, she got a glow up.
The version they're doing, as far as I'm aware, we made jokes about it, but I seriously think this is true. If Victor Fries were to enter this show, he would be a guy in a dark blue suit, and he would own freezing companies that do. That's it. That's as far as you'd go with references to the cold. They're probably not going to.
You didn't want to do Gentleman Ghost, the super fantastical. I bet you could do a freeze with a freeze gun, but it would have to be super realistic. Breaking people's arms off and stuff.
I think when you've set up this kind of world, this super grounded, quote unquote realistic world that they have here, there are certain characters that you can't incorporate into it. And I think Penguin kind of sits within its own cozy little self-contained universe where probably they're not going to sweat too much about the Batman, and they're not going to bring in all these other DC characters. It's going to be essentially an organized crime story. That's what we're going to have. He's going to be dealing with the Falcone family, and maybe over the next couple of seasons he's going to rise to power, and that'll be him becoming the real kingpin of Gotham. And that's fine. That's what we need from something like this, and that can sit within its own little self-contained universe. That's okay with me. You don't have to try and incorporate all these bizarre rogues gallery of villains. I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them get cranked up thanks to the fact that they're a part of a particular version of Batman that is more insane already. It's not like we've never had more grounded versions of each of these characters in some way, shape, or form. They're all on a scale.
Well.
It's just that,
you could do Hush and Firefly and some of the more grounded, you know what I'm saying? Just if you did Clayface, it would be just his face that,
Look at Bullseye from the Ben Affleck Daredevil movies versus the Bullseye that we got in the Netflix Daredevil.
Colin Farrell.
They are such, Colin Farrell. Yeah, isn't that interesting? But yeah, there's worlds apart in terms of how flamboyant and over the top they are. But it shows I suppose sometimes the character can work if they're toned down to a degree that they fit within the rules of that universe.
I feel like Nolan's was the grounded and realistic. That's why he had bad knees and all that shit. This one is grounded, but like it's still ever so slightly comic book worldy.
It's
Just
gritty. It's that word.
They actually
gritty.
said it in the behind the scenes. They say grounded, gritty, and realistic. And
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, all I was going to say as well is like it seems to me that if there are inaccuracies, if they can pull it together really well in terms of the writing, I think it's probably going to balance out. As in, like, fans will put up with some inaccuracies for different interpretations. I mean, this applied to the Nolan ones, didn't it?
By the
did
way,
a lot
no
of shit that
spoilers.
was-
I know people that think Vic is going to turn. They think just from the comics that he'll turn into Victor Zsasz. I don't necessarily think that. I think he's going to be.
I've heard that as well, but I don't see any. I don't think there's anything to go by yet for why.
I think
that would
ultimately it's going to come down to Penguin is going to have to take care of him, proving again he's the big bad. But that's just my own suspicion.
And
I
this
do
is
like
just
this one.
most grounded thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is just speculation because we can do this because it's a show and it's good, so we can talk about it as fans, which is neat. I was going to say, like, it could be that the season ends with him he subverts and destroys Sophia and kills Vic.
I think
making him reprehensible, right? Like making him a character you were not going to like.
Because I think he's going to have to.
Bad thing. We like everyone. Sorry, Tringer.
Yeah, well, I think he's gonna have to take out Sophia at some point, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's ways to kill her that make a lot of sense, but simultaneously, I think the work they've done will make us be like, oh, like because of what she's been through, or whatever. Which again, is just like, well, that's just good work that they've done at that point.
I felt bad about Penguin killing Alberto after this episode, even though I loved it in the first episode. I was like, oh man.
No, I think
I mean, like
I've seen people say this about episode 4, but it's been one that's made people want to go back and check some other things out again, as in like watch the show over or watch the Batman again.
100%.
Yeah.
Apparently, in the end, Penguin's going to get killed, and he wasn't the Penguin after all.
Is he going to get aspirated by a bunch of prison guards?
He's gonna. They have a young CGI'd Danny DeVito get inspired by him.
Does he give an apology
penguin
speech?
with him? He stabs him with an emperor penguin.
Yeah,
bro. Emotional damage now.
It'd be funny, like as well, if he like kills him and then starts walking around like, like a penguin. There's a question here as well.
It wouldn't be that far fetched from what we got.
Yeah,
the Joker.
Oh, someone asked a pretty fair question. Sorry, is it watchable without seeing the Batman? Yes.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, you can jump straight into this and you'll be all right.
Absolutely.
Summit Shah says, how do you claim the memberships that are gifted? So as far as I understand, YouTube just assigns them to random people.
You
have to have it turned on.
So you can't really claim them so much as they're just given to you. So if someone allocates 50 out, then 50 people will just be randomly given Critical Drinker memberships. So I think
that would be an interesting thing that you could choose to randomly gift or to gift it to the people who are not signed up, but people who really want to have a membership, you know?
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, but yeah, I never quite understood that whole idea of gifting them.
Where you could like have chat fight over them. That could be fun. Like you just like sprinkle them around, and then
whoever else will select 2 people. They have to have the best take.
It's like the Kurgan.
You have to defeat my chosen champion, Rangor the Mighty.
We throw memberships to Hungry Greys in the chat and have them fight over them.
The other thing I wanted to show to you guys, because I think Platoon, you had avoided this one, but I'm gonna subject you to it now. It was we were all fans of Shang-Chi and the legend of the 57 cock rings or whatever it was, and Simu Liu, like wow, like what a awesome guy he turned out to be, a real charismatic movie star. Anyway. He was on like the American equivalent of Dragon's Den, where he was like given the opportunity to approve various businesses and invest in them. And someone made the mistake of approaching him with the idea of boba tea. You know, that thing which really has kind of run its course already. It's like
little tapioca balls in it.
Yeah, those weird things.
Yeah, it's like Shark Tank if you're in America. Yeah,
that should have skipped me by. I never even knew what boba tea was.
Nope.
It was
not good. MauLer.
It was like it was a complete like, what would you even call it? Like it was like doing the YOLO or something. It was like just a complete fad that came and went in the space of like a week. But anyway, like he wants to bring it to the masses. But anyway, let's see what you got to say about it.
I am studying your can, and I am looking for anything that tells me where boba came from. And where boba came from is Taiwan. You know, I started this venture company for a lot of reasons, but really primarily to uplift minority entrepreneurs. And not only do I feel like this is not happening here,
Because you're too white, boy. Anyway, I'll carry on.
but that I would be uplifting a business that is profiting off of something that feels so dear to my cultural heritage.
He's Canadian, by the way. I just wanted to say that. Like, I'm sure boba is a really big part of Canadian culture, but anyway,
when you think of Chinese Canadians, boba is, of course, the first thing you would think of.
Sure, yeah.
Just quickly, I
want
like
to
that
be a
this guy
part
made it out of the porn industry.
I would say this guy's outfit is what you should not do anything with. No one that dresses like that you should be in business with.
When did socks go out of fashion? I just want to ask that. What the fuck?
Of bringing boba to the masses, but not like this. So for that reason, I'm out.
Not like this.
Thanks.
Respect that.
Respect that.
I don't.
Why do you
It
respect
makes me
that?
sad how successful this business is. It makes me sad that people are, you know, they're
Why?
drinking boba with the raccoon with the sun. And,
It
and there's-
doesn't.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Like when he says, "It makes me sad how successful these people are."
To
Like-
be clear, right?
white people, right?
Boba is, you could say it's similar to any given type of thing you can put into a thing. As in, like, it's not a Mars bar, as in it comes from a very specific, it's like a broad thing.
Well, you know, it'd be like to put this into context. I suppose, like, if I was on this panel and like someone came to me and it's like, I want to do haggis flavored fucking crisps or something, like, you know, it'd be like me getting all pissy, like, oh well, haggis is part of my cultural heritage because I'm
Oh, and
Scottish, and it makes me mad that you're like making money off it.
Isn't it
So, like, I
arguably
want you
slightly
to like go
worse
off
than
and
that,
die.
though? Because didn't he read the can and said that comes from Taiwan? It's part of my cultural heritage. And last I checked, Simu Liu is Chinese Canadian. If you ask the people of Taiwan whether they consider themselves part of China, they would not say
Yeah.
yes. So
Yeah.
who's culturally appropriating now, you shit?
Oh, and
Yeah.
also the haggis connection. I love that I got to say that. Would that mean that if I were making that and you would say to me, you need to be clear on where haggis comes from? Like, that's your criticism of my product at that point.
Well, that and the fact that you're a non-Scottish person who's profiting off the sale of haggis-related products. That would
That
make
is like
me
the
mad,
lamest
apparently.
shit, man.
Is that not an
We'd be
actual
fucked in
law?
Australia because we like
Well,
alcohol.
exactly.
In Australia. we didn't
if we're gonna
invent
go, if,
alcohol.
if we're going to go back to like each person's cultural like inventions and stuff, like every time Simu Liu like uses a telephone, like that was invented by a Scottish person. So he should, like, I'm mad that he's like appropriating my cultural heritage.
Maybe that's why he's
every
not wearing
time-
socks.
Every time he uses antibiotics to deal with an infection, well, that was invented in Scotland. So like,
Only
I'm mad about
Italians
that.
can listen to the radio.
This is like the opposite. Like, he's doing the bad version, because like if those crisps, those theoretical fucking haggis ones, was super successful, and then everyone just randomly goes, by the way, what is haggis? And then they just randomly find out it's from Scotland. Is that not way better than hoping the failure of the company? Like, why would that be the better result?
Well, here's a crazy suggestion, right? What if you invest in this company and you say, like, let's invest in it. I'm going to give you like $1 million or whatever it is you need, and let's also take some time to like make it clear on the packaging where this comes from. Like, it's invented in Taiwan or whatever, and like, great, like, so we all win from this. And so I want you to be successful, and let's like, respect where this thing came from. Great, everyone does well then.
Yeah,
Apparently,
instead
in
of
the clip,
being a
they
dick
were
like
happy
this.
to do that. The business owners there were happy to do that, and I'm sure they.
So he's
and
just a petty bitch.
I'm sure their suppliers in that where it's coming from are happy that this guy's blowing all their profits that they're making off this company.
This is what I mean, man. Like, I don't see how this is the better cultural result. He's just being a bitch. It's like he wanted this. It's like he wanted this to be shared for people to go, "Wow, Simu Liu takes care of me as part of Taiwanese culture." Boba, what are you talking about? Especially because isn't this thing a phenomenon well before their company anyway, or rather, whether or not their company is functioning?
Well, that's it. Yeah, like it's been around for a year or two at least. Like I've seen it all over places like London, Edinburgh. Like there's places selling boba tea stuff, and like, it kind of feels like it's almost come and gone. Like we're at the tail end of that little craze for what that was.
I love too that he's there for the minorities, and he's pretending that Asians are the minorities in business around the world. Those billions of people that make and sell everything are the minority and need help.
Are we playing the part where she says something back to him, doesn't she?
Oh yeah, hold on.
Have the opportunity to change and do that.
That's true, but there has to be a willingness, and I have to be able to invest in these founders knowing that that change is possible.
They didn't say no. The collaboration that they've had to this point is with their supplier in Taiwan. And if nobody else has told them that before, you can't put that all on them.
That fucking face of like, yeah, I've been rumbled here.
I love it. She has the most basic fucking analysis of the situation. He's like, you know what? I am retarded.
They're so not used to people talking back to them like this.
He was expecting everyone to give him a big pat on the back and say, "Oh, you're so right. You're so right. It's so terrible how your culture is being appropriated," because he's in that Hollywood bubble. That's what he's used to. And when somebody pushes back on him, he's just lost. He's like, rabbit in the headlights, doesn't know what to do.
This is what happened with that.
His concept of advertising, like he has a go at the raccoon with sunglasses, and it's like, well, if they put a Chinese or a Taiwanese person there, they'd probably be angry that that was, the wrong way of selling the product as well. Like he's pretending they don't just use characters to sell things, and he's just so full of shit.
He doesn't apply it to himself, or obviously he doesn't apply it to himself, but his phone, I'm sure he probably has a tablet, his laptop, all of these things contain chips which are produced in Taiwan. It produces like 90% of all the world's microchips. Is he uplifting minority businesses in Taiwan when he pays for an Apple contract, which he probably
do the
does?
Apple boxes have all the labels from which place the things are made and where they come from, what they mean? Is like, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Also, just his assertion that he got into this to uplift minority businesses. It's like, no, you should invest in whatever business is going to provide the best service or product within that field, period. The race of the person behind the service or product is completely irrelevant. It's just an evil idea on its face, and we should utterly reject that. And he's a dickhead for saying that.
And mainland China, anyways, it's like
they're not even
built on
idea.
it.
These people were like, okay, we'll do that. It's just not even like, what the fuck? Why is he so mad?
Didn't give them the chance to answer that question. Yeah, but like, mainland China is built on cultural appropriation. Its entire economy is based on intellectual property theft. So he doesn't really have any grounds to complain. But he's also not, from what I understand, he's not that popular in mainland China because they think he's fuck ugly, which I kind of agree with. But I think they do it based on looks because the Chinese are a bit like that. I do it based on moral character because he seems to be a shit.
Like I said, she was a person of color too, so he couldn't say anything back to her. And as soon as they jump out of what their little positivity bubble, they start getting normal everyday people. It's like, what? That didn't make any sense.
I think that woman invested in him, didn't she? The one that spoke at the end. I think she actually gave him the money.
I hope she did, honestly.
Well, why wouldn't you? They basically just said like, oh yeah, everything's great except this petty thing that I want that they are willing to do. Like, well,
oh no, sorry, I think it got worse. I think she did on the show, and then this all started, and then she withdrew her money and didn't invest in him in the end. It was something like that happened, which is even worse. That she backpedaled.
I can say that Simu was forced to make a statement about this because of the backlash, where he said, "I truly do not care what you spend your money on. Buy boba or don't, or buy bottled mass-produced boba that feels weirdly appropriated, or don't. It literally does not matter to me."
Apparently, it does though.
What is the standard for appropriation? So, for example, if a white guy owns a business in Canada selling bubble tea, that's appropriation. Does it necessarily follow that if a Chinese guy in Taiwan selling American comic books, does that mean that he is culturally appropriating? Like, it's so fucking dumb. What about a store in England selling Japanese video games? This is just called commerce, you fucking moron. You can't just sell services and goods from your own cultural background because that way everybody would be poor.
Stop being so fucking like self-important and precious about this stuff, like as if you have a fucking like monopoly on it, like you alone decide what is morally right to be done with this product. Like, fuck off. You don't own it. You don't get that deciding vote on this stuff.
Their supplier was in Taiwan. So it's not like they were even making it out of the country. They were giving money back to the country that makes it.
No, not good enough. Not good enough.
Fucking
You know what's
crazy.
funny? There's some things I think that are obvious in terms of where they come from and who would have the cultural fucking footprint for it or whatever. But I almost want to broaden it out and be like, alcohol. Which culture does that belong to? And have them all fight over it. Like, that's ours. No, that's ours. No, that's ours.
Let's not go there. You're going to destroy Australia that way. We didn't really like it. We like it a lot.
You merely adopted the alcohol. I was born to it, morphed by it.
Angry Badger, you're muted. You're muted, Badger.
Sorry, I'm professional. I was gonna say, let's just start yelling at these people and making fun of them now when they do these things instead of giving in.
I think, yeah, like he's gotten quite a backlash for it, and I think he's had to respond to it. So that's nice to see. But yeah, he's just a fucking dick. Like, I remember him back in the day, like giving himself a big old pat in the back because Shang-Chi made $400 million worldwide against a budget of $250 million. So it didn't come anywhere close to breaking even, but he considered that an epic win. So yeah, good on you, bro, I guess.
Didn't he claim to be the first ever Asian action star or the first Asian person to appear in a movie or something?
I hope so. I hope
he did.
did that.
We had to say Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Chow Yun-Fat, etc. Obviously Bruce Lee. Yes, just went back in time to all the ones before him.
There's never been a kung fu fighting Asian actor in Hollywood before. Okay, like that, we need to accept that. I do like this super chat from Ed Song, who says, "Little asshole Leo would attempt to take any Asian role on the reason that Asians are interchangeable. He was cast a while ago. Why he was playing a non-Chinese Asian role? He was like, it's all good because we all do it."
What?
I mean, kind of what you'd expect from a stock photo actor, I suppose. I think what he was suggesting was like you can play essentially any interchangeable Asian role, whether it be Korean, Japanese, Chinese, doesn't matter, because like from his point of view, we can play any role.
Oh, so now he's not only speaking on behalf of all Taiwanese people, he's speaking on behalf of all Korean people, all Japanese people, all Asian people. He is basically the Asian Pope, which is great. I'm sure he enjoys that role.
We all look the same.
It's not even true, though, because I've traveled quite a bit in all those countries, and Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese do look markedly different. Yeah. They all have their own distinct look. And like I can tell, if I were to see a Korean woman in Britain, for example, I would know she was Korean. I'm like, okay, that's a Korean face. Same with Japan and the Chinese. They do look very different. It's very much a Western stereotype that they all look the same. They don't.
All Japanese people are cartoons, aren't they? I think.
They're all animated. I mean, the funny thing is, I won't be able to tell the difference between a Scottishman and an Irishman at a first glance.
That's
like,
true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Interchangeable to me.
We're all fat and angry,
obviously.
I think it's because they've been isolated genetically so long in their own little area of the world, whereas in Europe there was a lot of interchanging, a lot of like Viking invasions and things like that.
We get invaded a lot, yeah.
I just think it's funny that mainstream China thinks he's ugly. Simu, that is the thing that to them he's just not a traditionally good-looking. Yeah, that's one of the ways they rejected him as the leading man.
Wow. Well, there you go. He really bounced back with Shang-Chi, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was in Barbie, though. Well, so I'll give him his due.
He was good in that. I will say he was good in Barbie. I liked him in Barbie. Yeah, I thought he was.
I don't remember anything about him in Barbie. He's just there.
It's a small role, which I think it suits him because I don't think he's a leading man. He's too annoying to be a leading man, but he's all right.
Wasn't he just playing a complete dick?
Well, okay, wait. When you say small role, like, what would you remember a line from him at all? Or
did he have a line?
Yes,
I remember him dancing around.
He said, "This beach is a little bit too much beach for you, Ken."
Don't they do the beach
off?
Yeah, it's like I'll beat you off.
Yeah.
He plays himbo. He plays himself, a dumb person with nothing between his ears.
Tell you what? Why don't we try and address some super chats here? Because there's a bunch of people that got a bunch of questions for us. We should try and address them and try and answer them.
We do need to make sure that we're uplifting the cultures of every person who sent it in, because otherwise it's not allowed. We're just culturally appropriating whatever they're saying.
Sure,
I'm all right with that.
So Deval, you're a member of the Critical Drinker group. I don't know where you're from necessarily, so I'm going to try and uplift whatever culture you belong to anyway. It says, what character or franchise will be ruined next? Also, if all of you could have a creative freedom to make a show or movie about any game, what game would it be and why? So, first question, like, what do you think is going to be ruined next? What's the next franchise? Because they're hell bent on ruining Tomb Raider right now.
We're running out of them, aren't we?
We are
there's
running
not
out,
been
but
We must be, yeah. We must be.
well, just to check, we're not counting things that have already been ruined, as in like like
No,
before
it has
for-
to be stuff that's not been,
Yeah.
is like untapped resources.
Yeah, we have this conversation once in a while. The main people are so the main one is Back to the Future. That's the primary one everyone references that we need to protect, but it's only so long before it'll go down probably. Gremlins is another one I always think about. It's inevitable that they're making another one of them, and it'll be crap. It'll be CG. What else we got? I can't believe they came
There's
for
not much
fucking
left.
Time Bandits, dude.
Yeah, they've gotten everything. Like, I sort of think of Back to the Future as like Anne Frank. It's only a matter of time before they kick in the door and drag her off to the camp.
Robert Zemeckis being alive is the only thing stopping that, because Michael J. Fox and the other one have both said, "Oh, we'd be fine with a female black gay protagonist, whatever it is." So yeah,
Surely he
happen.
could have that written into his will or something. Like, right, for time immemorial, like, we can never do another Back to the Future movie.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm alive or dead. It's just, that's locked in now. There must be a way.
I feel like they're actually killing themselves over the fact they can't do it. It's like we got to remake it. I know it'll be bad. We got to do it. We've done everything else. Come on, let us do it.
If you just
But
hold
yeah,
that a little bit longer.
It is a sad state of affairs. We're at that point where I don't think any of us can think of a franchise that hasn't been ass raped already. There's just nothing left.
There's not. They've gotten everything.
Someone mentioned E.T. That will kill that.
Yeah.
Trans ET.
The Chronicles of Narnia.
Remember the Robot Chicken version of ET where you find out he's retarded and like all their fingers light up?
It doesn't matter what it is. If you can think of it, they've done it. Like they brought Futurama back and made that shit. Like everything has been made shit.
Yeah.
In one way or another. Yeah.
And the question for us all is like, so if you had the creative freedom and I guess unlimited resources to make any game, to adapt any game to the big screen, what would it be?
We've had this one on Catch Up before, I think. I usually end up with
Many
Bioshock.
times. Yeah, Bioshock's a good choice. Yeah.
Give me all the budget, and I want to build Rapture for real. Let's go do it.
Well, I said as well, like, okay, if I had a shot at this, like unlimited creative freedom and unlimited budget, I would do the Resident Evil series. I would finally do it justice. I would find a way to make it work because we've had 20 years of absolute dog shit. So I'll fix it. Give me a chance. Or I'll push. I'll do Tomb Raider as well. I'm going to have to cast Sydney Sweeney though, and I'll need to vet her properly.
This is
Whatever that
TV. This is game as a TV show.
Means whatever you mean. You want it to mean more.
Have you seen what she looks like for that new? Is it a boxing or wrestling film or something she's doing?
Is that real?
She looks
I
good.
couldn't work out if that was real or not.
It's Christy Martin she's playing. I think everyone knows
bulked
that
up
she's
quite a bit.
beautiful. I think this is her role. They're like, I can act too. So I'm
Do we care?
sort of hoping. I sort of want her to get this.
I don't need you to act, Sydney. Just jiggle. For me.
Toxic males don't want a woman to have an acting
I
role.
was about to say, if she could act, that's just a bonus. Let's throw it
Yeah,
on.
it's a bonus. Yeah. At least she did the work. Her arms look good. Like it's not
She's
CGI
got-
dots.
She's got triceps. Yeah, she's done it. But yeah, so it's a wrestling thing, isn't it?
I'll say Deus Ex is the game I would make. Any of them. That world as a movie or TV show would be good.
Fair enough. Platoon, Robot Head, Despot. Do you have any games you'd like to? If you were in charge and you could make it, what would you do?
I could just slide straight from the Judas writer's room into the Judas writer's room. That'd be really easy. I'll just carry that going.
That's a boring answer. You're already doing that.
That's why it's so easy.
I'd do Perfect Dark because it starts out as a kind of conventional like female James Bond type, and I'd make her like the hottest, most male gaze possible protagonist I could find, and Joanna Dark, she's a great character, and then it goes nuts. It basically she teams up with an alien called Elvis, and they find out this conspiracy involving a race trying to conquer the Earth. And they've taken over the president's body and things like that. It just goes apeshit into the sci-fi territory. So I'd like to do that. I'd like to do that. where you basically start out with a conventional spy thriller and then you kind of subvert it, but subvert it in a good way, not in the modern subversion sense. You kind of subvert that trope and make it crazy and sci-fi. I'd just do that. I'd make it fun. I'd lean into the kind of the campy 90s humor and just have a good time with it. That's all.
What about you, Robot Head?
It's been so long since I've had time to play games. I'd have to go back to something like Resident Evil or something. It's been that long. So I'll just enjoy everyone else's work when they do it.
Fair dues.
I've always wanted a good version of Snake.
I was going to say, you can make that Pong movie, man. Don't rule out Pong.
And Tetris. I want to see a movie of that. GS Pena says, to clarify my super chat from last open bar, some douche called The Birdman made a vid about you, and there's so much stupidity in it that EFAP will have a field day. Oh, yes, he was asking, would we do a response to The Birdman?
Oh, yeah, because we were trying to figure out if The Birdman was like a character or a show or something else.
So apparently he's a YouTuber.
I mean, well, like I've said before, there's so many videos on all of us now that we've almost lost interest in doing those sorts of things on EFAP. We're very caught up in like talking about movies and TV, which is always much more preferable, to be honest with you.
And yeah, honestly, if some douchebag decides like he's going to come after me in a video, I don't fucking care. Like, it's not worth
respond to all of them.
Respond to it.
Yeah, well, it's a genre at this point, and it's unfortunately something that can get you a good start for view counts on a struggling channel. Just be like, Drinker killed the Pope.
And maybe I have.
Well, in Assassin's Creed 2, you did fight him at the end, but
yeah.
But don't you think those videos have lost their fun? Like they used to. Some of those takedown videos were more fun to watch and more entertaining and crazier.
Something that's happened that I kind of hate is everyone tries to make it actually seem like the end of the world. Like you'll see the sentiment of Drinker on Twitter every once in a while will be like, he's destroyed film, and it's like, what do you? He doesn't have the capacity to do that, you idiot.
Fuck you, MauLer. I could destroy film if I wanted to. Okay.
It's just everything has to be so fucking over dramatic instead of. Like I disagree with Drinker on a couple things.
The fun is even when Drinker likes
like it's always everyone's always getting destroyed, like critical Drinker destroyed by facts and logic or something. And it'll be like some snarky comment that someone made on a video once, like 10 years ago. Like that's all it comes down to. And it's like it's clickbait bullshit for the most part. So
it's also general. Like when the start TLJ was out and stuff. I don't know. They just got more into trying to rip apart what people were saying. It's just now, like you said, general, you're destroying everything so I can get some clicks. And that's about it. They're not even entertaining to watch.
Well, and they'll also advocate for like the loss of, the Star Wars theory, what he's having to deal with. Is like they'll want you destroyed quite literally. They want you gone. They want you having no money on the street. And it's just like, man, you made this really fucking weirdly personal and dramatic instead of just saying like, hey, I think he's wrong about all these things. And that's
I guess what we're saying is like, if you want to make videos about me or MauLer or any of us really on this panel, like claiming that we've destroyed everything and like you're just going to like, obsess over us, just know you are suckling at our gigantic milk-swollen titties. And that is the only thing that's sustaining you. So
and it's the grifter now.
Think about that every time you upload another video to YouTube.
We didn't destroy it. You're simply talking about the things that have been destroyed. If they make good things like Penguin, if everything was like Penguin, we would only be having good conversations.
They
but
never
not that level.
The amount of times it's like, when was the last time Drinker or MauLer ever said anything nice about anything? It's just like yesterday.
Yeah, the last time we did a Last Orders, right? We were gushing over Arcane. We're really excited for season 2.
Yeah, it happens. I just don't know about it.
Yeah,
I'll say there's posts where Drinker says something good, and then the top comment would be, "You stay away from them." It's like, but
yeah,
they do that.
Yeah. I don't like it when Drinker praises something because it's something I like.
My review of Furiosa, it was this movie was pretty good overall. Like, but I can see why people might not watch it because Mad Max isn't in it, and it's like, you fucking hate it. You just hate women. It's like, what do you want me to do? Like,
I've said a new weird one that I never copped this, but I've said about it's probably you the most, Drinker, that he doesn't even watch the films. And I'm like, that's not a hard part of the job. It's like you don't have to avoid that bit.
You know what's
Yeah,
funny?
it's like that's like 2 hours out of my life. Like that's easy.
There's not only obvious proof that you've watched a bazillion films in your life, but we've downright at this point got we got the Firefly stuff and EFAP movies and everything where you are literally watching the film in real time. Like what more evidence do you need? Like how does this work? Do you need to like record your entire life and be like, see, I went to the cinema. Look at me go. I'm watching the movie.
I think it's that weird guy who was like obsessing over everything I did, and it's like, oh, you didn't fucking post your review like 7 days before the movie actually came out on general release. What's wrong with you?
Listen, as a friend, if you told me, hey, MauLer, I took a few hours out of my time in Rome to review Penguin, I'd be like, you need to stop. You need to sit down.
Yeah, it's like I was in one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, and it's like I'm just enjoying everything around me. I'm not going to fucking take my time out to watch like some garbage movie.
That sounds like the kind of cringy thing that I would do, and you would have to tell me you need to stop. You need to not do something for once. So I'd be like, oh.
How do you think I felt?
6 days in the hotel room.
I've never got a video out. 6 months, I'm lucky to get a video out. They're having to go at 6 days. I was like,
hello.
Jesus Christ.
I haven't finished reviewing DFA yet.
I'm still doing the acolytes. So.
MauLer, I am actually still waiting for the last part of The Force Awakens.
We all are. We all are.
Someday.
6 days, Jesus.
Northern English Bastard says, Dear Drinker, MauLer, and guests, it's been 23 years and the 2001 Tomb Raider movie is still the superior adaptation. Netflix's ignorance amuses me, just like Mr. Powell would say. I 100% agree. I think the 2001 Angelina Jolie movie was probably the closest they've gotten to like capturing the spirit of the Tomb Raider games. And I think they did a good job with that. And the Alicia Vikander movie, that just made me sad. Like she somehow became a background character in her own film. Lara Croft should be larger than life. She should be she should be the James Bond character in this franchise, and she wasn't in that film. So yeah, I think 2001 was about the best they did. That's kind of scary. That's like more than 20 years ago.
I feel so old lately.
Gene the Revenant says, Tomb Raider's animation quality just makes me appreciate the old anime's shows even more. There's a lot of stuff from the 90s that looks more fluid than this. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that show, but not only was it like that weird approximation of like cell animation, but like the frame rate was really low. So like characters all had this weird jerky robotic look about them in the new Tomb Raider show. I don't know what they were going for, but particularly in a franchise when you have to have the main character like leap around and jump from platform to platform, all that sort of thing, you kind of want it to be really fluid and believable. And it was the exact opposite of that. I don't know why.
I'm sure. I still have to watch it, but based on everything you guys are saying, I don't think I will be watching it.
Neither will I.
When you have so much, it's like I need to stop. I'm giving myself a wasting disease. I like can't watch this much bad.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from, Badger. I couldn't make it past episode 3 of Agatha. I've watched so much shit this year. I was able to finish Rings of Power. I watched all of Tomb Raider, but I couldn't do Agatha. I don't know what it was. It was just.
See, that's why we need to work as a team.
Yeah, see, I can watch Agatha for you, but I can't do some of the other ones. Yeah, so we just got to take our poisons.
I can only take so much.
Are we getting like late year fatigue where it's just like we've had so much shit this year? Like we're getting towards the end.
Like,
I can't take much more.
That set of what we got.
There's so much more slime than we get.
That's true, but we've also got the potentials of Arcane season 2 and Squid Game season 2, right?
True.
Those could be those. Yeah. You know,
you're so like young and optimistic, MauLer, thinking like Squid Game season 2 is going to be good.
I said maybe.
I've got hope for Arcane.
When's Squid Game 2 come out? When is that?
December 26th, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so quick.
Yeah, it's this year, technically.
they're catching all the Boxing Day crowd, like when we're all like confused and drunk and full of like cheese and leftovers. Yeah. Oh well. Hopefully it's good. RRTNZ says, Hail team, Despot and Platoon have superb Dune videos. Love to see them stream together and compare notes. The Bene Gesserit do Chuck Norris's ironing. Whoa. Well, there you go.
All right.
But yeah, you guys have both produced Yeah, really good
But does
tune
that mean
videos. So
Chuck Norris is the Kwisatz Haderach? Is that how this works? Then he just
They were
actually
trying-
planted him.
they were trying to
he would
create the Chuck Norris, but then they didn't realize what they'd created until he was upon them. I think.
Chuck Norris. Just watching that movie Sidekicks, where the kid is hallucinating and daydreaming the whole movie about teaming up with Chuck Norris, and then he shows up at the end.
That I think that was the last theatrical movie he did.
Really?
Yeah, because in the early '90s, he essentially tuned out of doing movies. So I think he was just feeling like he was getting too old, and like he was, I don't know, like
Well, he
the
did
whole
Walker, Texas
yeah, like he
Ranger.
did. He moved into TV, and then he did the Walker Texas Ranger stuff. But like he was persuaded to come back for Sidekicks because he wanted to do something positive for the youth. You see,
Yeah.
and that's how we ended up with that.
When you ever read about Chuck Norris, he really is a great guy. A lot of the stuff that he did a lot of charity work. I was reading a book recently called The Last Action Heroes. It's a good book, and it gave
I've
a little
read it.
story.
Yeah,
It's good. You know the little story about the kid who was he had cancer and he really loved Chuck Norris movies, and he'd watch this Chuck Norris movie on repeat. And Chuck Norris went to visit him in hospital, and then the kid passed away watching one of his movies. Really sad, but it really makes you fall in love with Chuck Norris. What a great guy.
It's
he
like he
actually
kicked him into heaven.
yeah, he genuinely like joking aside, he actually seemed like a real old school like gentleman, I suppose, for lack of a better word. He took his role as like a role model or whatever quite seriously, and like he just wanted to do good, uplifting, I suppose, storytelling.
Yeah, like he wouldn't swear on screen or anything like that.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff, and he. I think he did his best, but I suppose with the opportunities that he had, which is quite admirable in a lot of ways. But
I only saw a meme yesterday where they said he finally admitted he used a stunt double, but it was for the crying scenes.
Yeah.
No, he's not dead. Sorry, Chad's asking. He's not dead.
I know. The movie where he fights Bruce Lee. Is it Enter the Dragon?
Yeah.
They'd asked him to gain loads of weight for that.
Scene.
Yeah. Well, they'd asked him to gain loads of weight for that role as well, because like they wanted him to be big and bulked up and like more dangerous than Bruce Lee, like like big, physically imposing. But he put on so much that like he couldn't do the sort of high kicks, like spin kick jumps and stuff like he was used to, and so he was kind of pissed off because like the style of fighting that he had to do in that movie was much more flat and like on the ground and just like much more based around punches and stuff. But again, I thought it was kind of an interesting comparison.
What's this book called? The Last Action Hero? Like
the last Action Heroes. It's a great book. It goes through basically. It takes you from the late 70s up to the late 90s when the action era kind of ended, and it goes through the main action stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jean-Claude Van Damme and even what's his name? The guy that did Under Siege.
Seagal.
Yeah,
Seagal. It does Seagal's movies as well. All that stuff, and then
it's
Chuck Norris.
It's the Seagal stuff is fucking wild, man.
I know.
Is it as cringe as I imagine?
Yeah, it
the
really
stories
is.
about him are crazy. I haven't read the book. It sounds good, but
Yeah,
just
the stories are
about
legendary.
him are just
I think that the sort of tack they take on it is like his ego was always a massive problem, like on movies, but like it was at least under control with his early films because he knew he had to play the game and like behave himself because like he was just a rising star. But by the time you got to Under Siege and especially on Deadly Ground, like the one that he directed, it was just fully unleashed and he was just fucking wild.
There's that story that Artie Lang used to tell, say where he was with there was with him Seagal on set, and Seagal was like, "I just wrote the greatest script ever," or "I just read the greatest script ever," and Artie goes, "Oh yeah, who wrote it?" "I did."
It sounds like Trump.
Wait, in Under Siege, right?
A little bit more like this. No, he's.
In Under Siege when Erica Eleniak jumps out of the birthday cake topless.
Yeah,
that was his idea, wasn't it?
That was his idea, yeah. And
it was a good idea.
He wanted to do a sex scene where they fuck on top of like one of the shells from like the big guns, and like Gary Busey, of all people, had to step in and say, "No, I don't think we should do that.
Too
That's
much.
a bad idea."
You know that's
Gary
a big
Busey is the
problem.
voice of reason on your set. You
That's
got a
bad.
problem, man.
Yeah,
Anyway,
Gary.
yeah, Barry McCockiner, like the name, said, any of you seen Jake Paul's girlfriend, Jutta Leerdam? She's really hot, speed skater from the Netherlands, but appreciates that guys would like her. I don't know. I have not seen her. What's her name? Jutta Leerdam. Hold on.
She's not the clip that keeps popping up where she undoes her outfit when she finishes the race as she's skating around, and she's absolutely gorgeous.
Let's see if I can find something halfway decent here.
Check the clip for science.
Yeah.
Christ's sake, man. Like, I'm actually kind of disappointed. I was expecting like some stunning, abnormally beautiful woman, and she's actually just kind of, mid.
I mean,
Great personality.
You probably wouldn't say no. Hold on, see if I can bring
We
her up.
wouldn't say
here.
no,
So-
but Jesus Christ, man. She's better looking girl. You walk into a nightclub.
If you're going to pay for a super chat, we want it to be pretty good.
Yeah, we got to give him the money.
Yeah, let's see if I can do this here. So, present screen. Okay, here we go.
Professionals.
Yeah,
Anticipation.
I know.
It's tension building.
You need the music like bombs are going off that Alan plays sometimes on film. That hurry, drinker.
Where is it gone? It's like it's vanished here. All right, so let's see.
Hands are up, damn, I'm getting
It's not
cold.
working.
We're waiting.
It did work, but then it stopped working.
It's depressing to think that the biggest boxing event of this year is going to be Jake Paul versus Mike fucking Tyson.
Oh, there we go.
It's more depressing for Mike Tyson. What? Who said that was mid?
No. It's a
I mean,
good
she-
over.
she is pretty hot.
mid. She is mid. She's a good looking girl, but come on, she's got a bit of a
Fuck
flat
off,
chest.
mid.
Bro.
If you saw her in a
Look at her
pub
face.
in Ireland, like you'd be like, I need to go
Bro.
talk to her.
She looks beautiful.
Where, does
Yeah,
this-
in our-
where do you live?
Where do you live?
What are your neighbors like?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
man,
it's
I'm
like,
calling it. She's nice
Be-
looking, like, but she's not blowing me away here.
I'm from Scotland, so
I'm
it's
sure
like,
she
you know,
was. You'd be enjoying it.
Has she
Probably
got all
would,
her
yeah.
own teeth and like is her face symmetrical? Yeah. Ah, well, she's a keeper. Anyway, moving on.
It's higher than mid for sure.
Higher than mid. I'll take that.
Very
back.
gen-
She's
Higher than
like
mid.
she's
Thank
a
you.
strong. She's a strong 8 or 9.
Yeah.
RRTN says, "Hail team, Despot and Platoon have." Oh wait, I've done that one already. That's been repeated actually. There's 2 of them. Nikos says, "Drinker, I want to talk to you about a geopolitical channel called the Duran. My fellow Greeks, Alex and Alexander, are both fans of you and Nerdrotic." Okay. I mean, I don't really delve into geopolitics, so I don't know if I'm the guy to talk to about that. It says, "They understand the importance of culture and how Marxist wokeness affects foreign policy. Are you interested in talking to them on their channel?" I mean, like I say, I'm not really into geopolitics and all that stuff, so I'm probably not the guy to talk to about that sort of stuff.
Critical politician.
I know, yeah. It's like, do you think I'm here to like fix the world or anything?
Yeah,
Ace
Drinker, how
Degenerate.
should we fix the Israel-Palestine thing? Give us your thoughts.
Yes,
Your
Well,
read- tell us how we're going to resolve this.
give
finally.
me another bottle of this and I will sort it out.
Do it
for
in the
you.
medium of dance as well.
Yeah.
If you weren't so busy destroying the movie industry, you might have time for something important.
I know. I can only destroy one thing at a time, like the movie industry, the world. Like, what do you want? Like,
By the way, someone in the
Even-
chat said they should take Jake should take his girlfriend to the zoo, and I just thought, what a appropriate Rocky calling her retarded joke. She's beautiful.
yeah.
Take her to the zoo.
I do like this one as well. Let's just pull an Asmongold here.
Oh no!
That worked out well for him, didn't it?
Don't do that.
Ugh, Jesus. Next one is Ace Degenerate says, "Hello, open bar. I just found out that Michael Bain has a YouTube podcast about movies called Just Fooling Around with Michael Bain. Pretty cool." Yeah, he does apparently. Yeah, which is extremely cool. I mean, I'd love to have Michael Bain on open bar. Let's get him on.
Michael, let's
Invite.
go.
Michael, I want to talk to you about The Abyss and Terminator and all the fucking incredible movies you've been in. Let's get you in. So anyway, let's do that. Jedi Onlooker says Blu-ray Angel is so delusional about Agatha all along on Twitter. Utter shame that dude's accumulated 31,000 followers who slurp up his bad takes. Yeah, I don't know what you would. Why would you subscribe to that guy? I don't get it.
Are we sure they're people?
Yeah, I always question that.
It's always
in the world.
I was just checking that channel because I guess it's been going for 2 months, so it's pretty new. And one of the video titles is Michael Bay getting caught doing blow with Bill Paxton during Lords of Discipline filming.
That sounds like fun.
Just something to talk about. It's like, yes, it's because they're older now; they can talk about anything.
He's been on Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast, and he's always really good. Tells deep cut stories, so it's only a matter of time, I guess, before you start doing it on your own.
Yeah. No, he should do. Like, he's obviously had quite the career.
Robert Patrick, too. He's really good on podcasts.
Yeah. Elsie Le Pen says, Gary's been in a real roller coaster lately, eh? For every Space Marine 2 or Astrobot, we get unprecedented Pokemon leaks or Concord's corpse beginning to twitch. So, panel, what's your thoughts on Silent Hill 2? I'd love to give you my thoughts on Silent Hill 2, but I literally can't get the fucking game. I can't get it off Amazon. I can't get it in game or like CEX anywhere. It's sold out all across the board. So
do it digitally.
No, I don't want to do that, MauLer. I want an actual disc.
What if it's
disc
bad?
In my hand?
If it's bad, it won't matter, Drinker.
But I'm pretty sure it's good. So
that's what I've heard broadly, that it is approved of.
Yeah,
it made it.
Yeah. So it's been like 15, 20 years since I played Silent Hill 2. So I'm very excited to play the remake of it. But I just want to do it right. So if I can get the disc eventually, I will stream it and play it and review it and all the rest. So looking forward to it.
For the record, I'm all for physical, but I don't care to get physical for shit that I think is bad. That's my point.
Yeah, you didn't buy Gollum, Gollum in a physical form.
I don't. But if I'm tempted, if it's a collector's edition,
now.
Do you think
the fucking Gollum steelbook?
Do you think the physical actual edition of Concord will be worth something in 10 years?
Oh, I was gonna say Alec Baldwin's finger behind him on he's got the Concord specific edition and the controller they made. Yeah, they're gonna be worth something to us.
Yeah,
like laughing at
it.
Like
ET for the ET for the Atari 2600, how it got buried in a landfill, and now it's become like archaeological, minutia. I think it'll be like that. It'll be like a piece of gaming history, one of the biggest flops of all time.
That's a good question. What are they going to do with the hundreds of thousands of physical copies? Like, do they just bring it to a landfill somewhere?
Yeah, or melt them or something.
Turn them into roads in China?
They put like a little sticker on top of them for the next failed game, and they just rewrite the disc. Whatever.
Slack Attack says, I think the best thing about the Penguin is how with each new episode you look back on the previous ones with new context. It keeps the show fresh and entertaining.
Yep.
Every episode I find myself going back to watching not just that but the movie, and it's like you notice something ever so slightly different about things. It just takes talent to do that.
Remember good writing? Remember when we used to have that all the time in TV?
It's what MauLer said, where we were coming up with ideas, and it was like, oh, we're not going to stop ourselves. We actually have enough respect for them to think that our ideas would not be like, they'll never do that. Like, they might actually do some of the things we're guessing.
Maybe. I like being able to speculate about the future of a good TV show. You rarely get the chance.
Yes.
What's the next one? Arkham Reaver says, can we get Rags, Fringy, Metal, and Theo on Open Bar together? I'd love to see an EFAP invasion of the bar.
Why don't we just get Drinker on EFAP at that point?
That seems easier. Believe it or not, I have done that many times.
Yeah.
Mr. Dragsy says, I have a question. Have any of you seen the new Count of Monte Cristo movie? It just comes out in September 24. It's really fucking good.
I didn't even know there was one.
So many things coming out now that I haven't even heard a whisper of. I didn't even know they existed.
The last one I saw was the Jim Caviezel one. And
Henry Cavill.
That's like, what, 15, 20 years ago? I really like that one. No, I thought it was good. Canada Plus says, "Hail to the panel. Velma was officially cancelled. I know. Moment of silence and all that." PB McGee says, "LA needs to fear the purple might of the grimace." Okay. B-Chain says, "Cheers, open bar. Drinker, I hope New England treated you well. Did you get some chowder during your stay? Have a great weekend, everyone." I did actually have clam chowder while I was there.
Chowder. Get right.
I had clam chowder and a lobster roll and some New England beer as well. So it all went down very, very well. So I enjoyed that. It was a beautiful, beautiful part of America as well. Never been there during like the fall or whatever. So yeah, it's good stuff. Stephen DeLeon says, "Latent gay." Well, that's the best kind of way to start our open bar. Craig the Bad Guy says, "MauLer, what's your favorite thing about Wales? Is it better than Scotland?"
Well, I haven't been to Scotland enough times to say if we're going raw, like best of the beauty of both places. But
have you ever? Be honest. Have you ever been to Scotland? Ever?
Yeah, I just don't like. I don't think I went there for like very long. I know it was when it was fucking ages ago, so I don't remember a lot of it. I'm so sorry. I've been to England more than Scotland. I don't mean.
I thought it'd be the language, that beautiful language.
Yeah, but isn't it? It's got gay in it. Gaelic. I don't know.
Gaelic.
Well,
it's the gayest language going.
The Welsh language is just basically a bunch of consonants dumped onto a table. So
it's true. We can't talk, but like literally.
So the question was, what's your favorite thing about Wales?
Wait, how did we get on to Scotland? Was there two questions?
Yeah, there is, and there's a second part to this that I'm going to answer because it's for me. But
right,
yeah,
okay.
So favorite thing about Wales, and is it better than Scotland? So that was the question.
I mean, it's a bit of a generic answer, but probably is my favorite thing is going to be the countryside, like at its best, just and like the valleys at the top tier, like it's really peaceful, it's really fun, and when you walk through it, it's like you don't have to be reminded of the horrors of the world. You can just be like, nature.
That's a top tier valley right there.
And as long as you don't end up in one of the places that smell awful because of animals doing their thing, just you kind of win out, just here and there.
He also asked me, "Drinker, what's your favorite thing about Scotland? Is it better than Wales?" Yeah, it's definitely better than Wales. And
shots fired.
I think it's going to be like between the whiskey, which we make, which is, you can't beat it. It's world class. Like Scotch whiskey, malt whiskey is just absolute God's nectar. And I think if I was to put the best of Scottish landscapes up against Welsh valleys, I think we might take it. Like the Scottish Highlands has probably got the edge there.
There's a whole story about it.
We still have the better flag, so fuck you.
Well, you don't have the Isle of Man flag right there, so
that's true.
And we have deep fried Mars bars, so I think we've beaten the world in that one.
The whole world gave you a bit of like a look for that one, just like, all right,
what's wrong with you? That one guy says, "It's my 1 year anniversary." Yes, so you're a membership with the Fellowship of the Drink. So thank you, man. Appreciate you. Nice. Richard Cutts says, "Sophia Falcone is awesome. She doesn't need to be made up as physically imposing as the men. She takes what she wants with pure cunning and malice." I know. Isn't that interesting in a female character? It's about less of, her physical abilities and more about how cunning and conniving she is.
And they've done their work, right? Like that history. Holy shit. She's
some great looks. Some great, like if looks could kill type of looks.
Yeah,
where
it's the thing we've talked about before, right? She's gone through a hell of a lot, like actual damage over and over again. And then she's made certain mistakes that she could have avoided if she'd said the right things at the right time, done the right things at the right time. Instead, it's caused her to go down this pathway. And, ultimately, again, trying to remain spoiler free, what happens to her almost creates the very person that she was desperate to prove she wasn't.
Yes.
And her scene with Vic when she first meets him, this is in the previous episode, when she first meets him, and at first she's sort of like off-puttish to him, and then she realizes she's like a cat with a mouse. Just get this playful, predatory looking. So good, so good. God,
She's got some good looks.
I
you're
do.
right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I do love the moment in Arkham as well, where she just decides, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to become the thing that you always accuse me of. Like,
careful fighting monsters.
yeah, oh, it's good. It's satisfying, and it totally makes sense for where she is at that point.
Oh, dude, I would have cracked way earlier than her.
Yeah.
I am the Hangman.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to spoil it. Yeah, so many great moments where it's like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling these emotions, but they did it. They got me.
Stephen DeLeon says Sophia Falcone equals wifey. I mean, I don't know if I'd want her for wife material. Like, she is kind of terrifying.
They're all funny, like, I can fix her thing. You're like, you can't.
Yeah.
Well, the point was she wasn't broken, right? She's very
yeah.
specifically turned into what they made her or whatever.
10 years of like emotional and physical abuse will do that to a person. But
oh, you've been married
she
before,
fills
right?
out a dress like extremely well.
Oh my god, that yellow dress. That was apparently done on purpose.
Yep. Master of Puppets says a drinker is never late. He arrives precisely when he wishes it. Well, that's true. We did. The Aristocratic Utensil says channel is nearing 50k, and a video I did of yourself and Destiny has nearly 250,000 views. Honored that its success was with a cast strength Redbreast 12 and an American single malt. Cheers, mate. Nice one. Well, good luck and congratulations on the success of your channel. Eurodoc says, Drinker, as a Vermonter, just wondering what you saw in New England while you were here. So in Vermont, God, what the hell did I do?
Drank.
Mostly, yeah. Like, this is the weird thing. This holiday became like a weird, like, fever dream where I was like moving to a new place every couple of days. So I was in Boston for Massachusetts. I went up to New Hampshire, Vermont, and then Maine. And so, like, each place I was only in for a couple of days. And so, like, you kind of just, like, see everything in a bit of a blur. And with all of these places in New England, the overriding thing was, like, oh, my God, there's just, like, fucking forests and trees everywhere. Like, the whole countryside is just forest. That's all it is. So it's, like, kind of the overriding impression. But, yeah, with each of those places, I don't know. I did my best to go out to a lot of restaurants and bars and stuff and eat and drink as much as possible. So
a lot of America is just empty. It's just forest land and just open public land or government-owned land.
Yeah.
Choose to be overcrowded in cities.
I did like, when I was in Maine, I just stayed in like a cabin. Like literally a cabin in the woods, like horror movie territory. And it was great. It was like really nice, really picturesque. There was a lake just like 50 yards from my front door. And it was awesome. Like
this is a
like,
Stephen King book. You're living there.
Yeah,
I did.
Right,
I went to Stephen King's house in Bangor because that's like a tourist attraction, and like it's exactly as you would expect a Stephen King house to look like. It's gothic. There's like gargoyles and shit everywhere, big wrought iron gates and everything. And no matter what time of day you show up, there's going to be people there taking their pictures with it.
that must be fun.
It is cool. It's cool. I mean,
I meant for Steven. No wonder he's all insane, right?
Well, he's
TDS aside.
I think he's moved on to a new place. So now it's like the headquarters of his foundation or whatever. Like I think he's got a charitable foundation. So like he doesn't live there anymore. But you could kind of imagine him looking at it and just being like, yeah, this is the place for me. Like it's, yeah, horror movie territory. But all good stuff. Sly Jester says the club scene in episode 3 of The Penguin made it completely viable for John Wick to shoot his way through a dance party without anybody noticing.
Yeah, probably. That's what John would do.
Tristan Goodfellow says, hello, chaps. Anyone listening while playing Tomb Raider 2? Wow, okay. Is that the Tomb Raider 2 remaster? Hopefully so. But yeah, good stuff. I hope you're enjoying it. Next says Des Lepigi says, I just found out MauLer loves metal and rock. I need to know what bands everyone here loves. My personal favorite is Avenged Sevenfold.
Jesus, you've never heard of them before?
I haven't, no.
Wow.
And as someone who occasionally touches upon metal, I have not heard of them.
Fair enough.
Sorry.
Well, Drinker, go on. What's your favorite bands?
Probably Ailstorm and what's the one that does war metal all the time? Sabaton, yeah. They would probably be my top picks, I suppose.
Rhapsody of Fire, Avantasia, and Powerwolf would be my 3 favorites.
Was that Powerwolf?
Powerwolf, yeah.
That's an awesome name for a band.
They're a fucking awesome band, dude.
Powerwolf. They are exactly what you would expect them to be with a name like Powerwolf.
Yeah. That's just spot on.
Anyone else here got recommendations for bands?
All mine would be 20 years old, so no one's no.
That's a sign of quality, isn't it?
I guess, yeah.
At this point,
recommend.
Metallica, but old school, all back in the day stuff, nothing new.
I'll do one more here. Cam Dominus Rex says, fell asleep watching NFL on Amazon and woke up 6 episodes deep into Rings of Power. Could that be Amazon cheating their views? I've never watched any of it before. So yeah, essentially it auto skipped you onto it. Yeah.
It also auto repeats as well, doesn't it? Because I think I left episode 8 running while I was doing something else, and I came back into the room and it just started again. It's like, fuck, I've given them another 3 views by their own calculations.
Do you think they autoplay at the end of anything on Prime? Just it starts going, hey, Rings of Power, hey, let's go. Look at Rings of Power.
And even if you only watch like 5 seconds of it before you like skip back out of it, it's like, well, that counts as a view.
Yeah.
Can we appreciate this guy's sleeping ability? He was watching football and then he did 6 episodes while having a nap.
I think it was power, so it's less impressive than otherwise, because staying awake through season 2 is quite a challenge.
6 hours is a good night's sleep, bro.
Yeah. I'm probably going to finish it up there. It's been great to come back to Open Bar, though. After like an entire year off. Can you believe it, MauLer? We took a year off from this, but here we are.
But we brought it back for the people.
We did, because the people demanded it. But thank you, Open Bar. Thank you for my panel for coming on tonight. It's been great to have you guys on. Thank you, chat, for joining us for this evening's festivities. I'm going to finish up there, and I'm going to finish with a little EFAP Halloween special, because you may or may not know that the EFAP plushies are now available, and you could pre-order them now. The link is in the description. But in case you did not know fully about it, I will play the little promotional video for it. So for now, for us from Open Bar, that's all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye.
Bye.
It's the spookiest time of year, and what's more suitable than EFAP celebrating with a brand new set of terrifying plushies? Introducing the EFAP Halloween plushie set, starting with MauLer the Longpire, a terrifying monster of bloodthirst and long. This cuddly beast is both infamous and primal in his desire to drain the very soul from the world of media, and he's coming for you. But he's not alone. How could the Longpire be complete without his trusty doggo? Ragzolantern. Poised charmingly in his pumpkin, your Ragzolantern will be there to offer his support and encouragement and sarcastic commentary to all your endeavors. This gourd-adorned Shiba Inu will give your pumpkin patch a pantalooned pooch's worth of company, and of course, both of these fine, fiendish fellows are joined by yet another. Though his eyes may have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, Fringy the Raven will gladly perch atop your couch, cuddly and at the ready. This corvid ventures nowhere without his scythe, and he's more than ready to slash his way through all obstacles. But not without the final member of this cutthroat cohort. Hear the bell as it strikes the hour of the wolf. When the midnight sky is red, a beast shall emerge from the forest to plunder your local pizza parlor. Behold, the dreaded werewolf, complete with the sunken eyes of a beast who avoids the searing heat of the sun, carrying with him a slice of his latest victim. This legend of the night will surely be a fantastic addition to this crew of dark demons and pumpkin playmates. But that's not all, no sir. Have you ever left home only to worry you're leaving the members of your favorite podcast behind? Do you despair when MauLer's commentary, Fringy's laughs, Wolf's fury, or Rags' puns aren't around anymore? Well, anguish no longer. Now you can stay warm and cozy during those chilly autumn days while constantly explaining to everyone that no, it's not electronic fapping, I swear. Introducing the official Every Frame a Pause Halloween hoodie. Perfect for lounging around indoors, shopping, long walks on the pier, weddings, baby showers, funerals, Halloween, Christmas. Complete with the expected furnishings of the season, as well as some gorgeous artwork by Black Soul Odin. The EFAP hoodie is ready to keep you warm and comfy through those winter months. There may even be a surprise guest on the back. Pick up yours today, because once the campaign ends, it'll be gone for good. And don't forget MauLer the Longpire, Rags O'Lantern, Fringy the Raven, and Werewolf. Completing the EFAP Halloween set. For every item you pick up together, the discount will increase. Be sure about what you'd like before it's too late, as the spooky season will not last forever. Find them all at makeship.com/shop/EFAP. All links can be found in the description. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting the show. We will see you next time.
That was a good laugh.